Get everything rocking soon. Just give me a minute to get everything shared and set up. As a matter of fact, as you come on, please share this video. Please share this live. Well, those coming on, we all here. Pardon the silence. I'm just getting some things set up, guys. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Welcome in. What's up, Kaylin Williams? What's up, Brother Corey? What's up, Michael? What's up, Marcus? What's up, family? I see you guys. Welcome in, Nathaniel. M. Lampton, I see you. What's going on? Angela, Eric, Karima, Enlighten, Nathaniel, Jennifer Wade. What's up? Welcome in. How are you guys? Tell me how you guys are doing. Nikki, Steve. How you doing? Hi, it's Nikki. How are you doing? No name Rose. How are you? Who all saw the new deprogram video, session 2, Go Insane? Sean, I appreciate that, bro. So I take it that you like it. Well, my silence, guys. I'm just getting some things set up. Rick, I'm getting an echo. Do you guys also hear an echo?
Okay, you hear echo, Kev?
I think there was one. Someone texted me said there was an echo. I don't know. Do you guys hear an echo?
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat. Give me a second.
Glad you're doing well, name Rose.
Okay, someone says it's getting the feedback. Okay, all right. Give me a second. Let me see.
All right, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Let us know, guys. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. So how many of you guys are subscribed to Patreon and saw the deprogram video? Session 2, Lose Your Mind. Let us know. Okay, they said it's good now, brother. Fantastic. So Ricky, just to ask real quick, man, is there anything that you like to say to the family, man, while I'm getting these things set up? All right. I see you guys coming in on Facebook as well. Guys, don't worry. I'm just getting some things set up. No biggie. Nebraska, I see you on Facebook. I see you, Tasha. Ra, what's going on? Peace, family. Peace, Adam. Peace, Shoshana. I see you guys. Car, appreciate you too, brother. Welcome in, family. All right, so saw it, Angela. Okay, saw it. Okay, let me know if you guys like that video, man. If you haven't saw it, please go ahead and get in there and see that video, man. It's called "Go Insane." I'm going to title this video that as well. Of course, go insane. And what I mean by go insane, family, is to literally in terms of being insane, we know that word insane is like it's negative in nature, right? It means to go crazy. You're insane, man. But I like that the first two letters are in, right? And so we're sane on the inside. So we're going to go insane, right? But when you go insane, you often speak the truth and you appear crazy to the world. And so a lot of times our goal is to not appear insane. So we instead try to be politically correct and not say things that upset the paradigm of the world around us. And I believe that it's time to stop doing that. I believe that if we start speaking the truth on how we really feel, not in a derogatory way, not in a mean way, not even in an aggressive, defensive way, but when someone simply comes up to you and they say something religious, overwhelmingly religious, by way of trying to get you to um, commit also to that type of talk or even agree with what they're saying, you know how it's done. It's not just just a suggestion or whatever. That they love to come up to you and be like, God is good, ain't he? Stuff like that. Uh, when people do stuff like that, you should have the right to say, I actually don't believe that way. No problem, right? I was walking down the street the other day, and a Hebrew Israelite was like, "Hey, man, let me hand you this." I said, "Man, I don't believe in that stuff." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And he jumped out the way, left me alone. You know, Wanda, absolutely. You guys will not be able to see me tonight. Of course, you guys know I'm working on my internet connection problems at home. Ricky's normally on camera, but we figured this right here be a better way. Most podcasts actually do it this way. I actually just prefer to be on camera so I can interact with you guys better. I love that. So just give us about a week or two, guys. We should be able to get back on camera and do it the way we used to do it. In the meantime, though, guys, just enjoy it this way and listen to the audio. This way, a lot of you guys can multitask, do other things as well, and don't have to worry about focusing on the screen. Just listen and enjoy. Hopefully, this works for a lot of you guys. Right, Rob, you said that they label it insane. And absolutely, Skipper. She said, thank you for sharing your energy. Um, I'm honored. Carl said that piece was amazing. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, guys. So if when you think about it, man, we have to stand strong. So many of you guys have walked away from religion, walked away from this cultural type programming, but are still kind of afraid to say it out loud, and rightfully so. I mean, who wants to be judged and outcast? No one, right? Certainly not myself, and I'm sure many of you guys wouldn't like that feeling as well. And so because of that, we tend to just go with the flow and just say, hey, you know what? It ain't gonna kill me. Sitting around my family and then being that way. Uh, at the same time, I'm learning, I'm doing good, whatever. I don't like to argue. I don't like the conflict anyway, and I get all of that. I 100% do. But the reason that I'm saying it is not for conflict purposes. It's just saying that we need the voice to be as loud as possible, to the effect of intelligence, or to the regard of intelligence. For so long, we allowed ignorance to prevail, and we kept our silence because we were deemed devil worshippers or evil or blasphemous if we opened our mouths, right? Well, it's time now to bring balance to the world, right? We're no longer afraid of being ridiculed. We're going to state our piece and let people know that they cannot take away our humanity. We're going to speak the truth, and you trying to deny my truth is taking away my humanity. So just simply because you don't agree with what I'm saying doesn't give you a right to take away my humanity. I have a right to say how I feel, and here's how I feel. I don't support the literature as there's no evidence that backs it. Listen, if you have made that decision, sir or ma'am, then I'm happy for you. But along my journey, I decided to change my way of thinking from that to something that was more solid that works for me. Well, where your morale come from? What are you going to do? Listen, I have developed my own philosophy. Every one of us have done this, guys. Every one of us, when we were children, developed our own philosophy. We decided what we were going to do and what we absolutely would not do to people. And you know that. How many of you guys have been in a relationship with someone, whether that be a friendship, romantic relationship, co-worker relationship, no matter what? You had some type of relationship with this person and they did something to you that broke your internal code. It may not necessarily be morally wrong, but it broke your internal code. Maybe they spoke about you behind your back. Maybe they told something that's something that was sincere, something that meant something to you. And so you felt like they broke your code. Even if you never told them, hey, listen, don't tell this to anybody else, you expected they should know. Why? Because everyone has their own philosophy, and that's regardless of what book you read. Even if you are a Christian, you're still going to have your own personal philosophy. The things that stabilize you. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. If you're a Christian or whatever, then your philosophy is probably going to be founded on the principles of Christianity. Hey, my philosophy is probably founded on the principles of Christianity, as they haven't changed much since I left. I'm still a good person. I still try to help people. You know, all that good stuff. But the best thing to do is just let these people know, hey, I don't need to read my philosophy from a book. Most of you guys haven't ever read the book, so you can't say you get your morale from the book either. And you should be able to have these conversations without being called demonic. And when they call you demonic, you should be able to tell them that that is childish behavior. You cannot name call because I disagree with you. Talk about it logically like an adult, and let's get on with it. And I think that if we carry this type of attitude, into the presence of our friends and families, maybe we'll be accepted more. A lot of it, guys, is we go up, we speak out about these issues. We get the knowledge of the issue. Let's just put it like this: imagine you eat some great food, right? You want to tell a lot of people about the food, but you don't know how to prepare the food. You don't understand it all the way down to the recipe of the food. So you may hear someone teaching a lecture on something or giving some information on something, and it resonates with you, and you understand the concept of what they're saying, but you don't understand it thoroughly as you have not studied it completely. So sometimes you may go off and start trying to tell people the conclusion of what you've learned, right? And then in a debate or in a when you're challenged, you may not be able to explain it as well, and that message may not come across as well. And then we have the tendency to get upset. And so we have to learn how to be patient, man. Intelligence is patient. Ignorance yells and screams, right? If you know your answer down to being able to explain it intelligently, you're not going to get upset. Most of the times that we get upset is when we don't know the answer. And so why do we get upset? Your ego takes over, right? Your ego's in the way. And now your ego, of course, is who you think you are. No one wants to appear dumb. It's like if I stood up and started reading and I messed up a word or two or stuttered a little bit, number one, I'm probably going to stutter a little bit because my ego. I don't want people to think I can't read. So now I'm nervous to read, right? But as I begin to read, if some of my pronunciations are wrong, or I stutter a little bit, or I pause because I can't understand the word, if someone begins to laugh or snicker in the background, that's going to offend me, my ego, because I feel like I don't want anybody to think I'm dumb, and that's what they probably think, right? And so no one wants to be made an idiot of, and your Christian brothers and sisters don't either. They are human, and so we don't want to take away their humanity either. When we're discussing these type of things with them and they get mad, let's try to stay calm because we understand what it is. It's the ignorant brain trying to protect itself. No one wants to hear the truth. Man, you can go to a woman or man who's been in a relationship where they madly in love with the other person and tell them that person's cheating, and they'll tell you no, they not. And you got the picture in your back pocket, but they already telling you they haven't, as if they've done the research, as if they were in the same spot you were. These are things that we do to protect ourselves from heartbreak and pain. So I believe that going insane is the way to go. We need to always be able to be honest. Why can't we be honest? They have been made comfortable enough that they can walk up to a complete stranger and say what they want to say to them. You know what I mean? God bless you. I'm gonna pray for you. Can I share a word that Jesus told me to tell you something? Jesus laid this on my heart, and they'll pull you to the side in the parking lot of Walmart, and they feel perfectly comfortable with this because they live in a Christian world, right? And so they're not gonna be shamed for it. And a lot of times we'll just be like, no, no, thank you. We'll just try our best to get away from it without being that crazy, without trying to seem insane. But I mean, if you can say Santa Claus didn't exist out loud and nobody bat an eye, unless you're at the mall, right in front of all the pageantry where they're sitting on Santa Claus's lap. I saw a video where a preacher goes inside of a store, and I'm going to post this video, but he goes inside of a store, a mall, and he's telling everybody Santa Claus isn't real, and the parents in there are getting very upset with him. Like, dude, this is not the place for that. And he said he's telling them, you're deliberately lying to your children, telling them, Santa Claus, why are you doing this, sir? And he's putting a microphone in their face, and they're like, bruh, you need to get out of here right now. And before you know it, parents surround him, and they like kicking this dude out because he's telling the children that Santa Claus don't exist. And I'm sitting here like, do you see the irony in that? Like the irony in that. You know, he runs up in a mall where they gather to sit on the lap of Santa. Well, I could run up in a church where you gather to bow down on your knees to Jesus and say the same thing. You're lying to your children. You're lying to each other. This person didn't exist, and I would seem insane if I said a tooth fairy never existed. I wouldn't be offensive to anyone. You know, if I could make jokes about it, I could ask questions like, what would a tooth fairy want with my teeth? Isn't that pretty weird? And why would a tooth fairy take monetary money based on the country I'm in, you know, and give me, you know, American currency, dollars. So if I was in Europe, would they give me pounds for my teeth? You know, and again, why do you need my teeth? You know, that'd be pretty weird. But we hear these things as children, and we accept that some little fairy is going to be in your room stealing your teeth or getting your teeth from under your pillow. Come on, man, it's pretty weird for something to want your teeth, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, if I were to come out and make videos saying the tooth fairy is not real, you guys, everybody would laugh because that's common knowledge. We all know and accept the tooth fairy isn't real. I mean, nobody's ever seen it, right? Nobody's ever heard from the tooth fairy, right? Nobody's ever heard from the tooth fairy, not once, you know. So why would we believe in the tooth fairy, right? No one's ever seen Santa Claus. I mean, hey, we're all adults now. We know that Santa Claus isn't taking our children presents, so we know Santa Claus isn't real. So if I made a whole video expressing to the world, listen, guys, Santa Claus isn't real, you would laugh. It wouldn't even be taken serious because the general public understands he's not real. But if I make a video saying Jesus never existed and he has the same amount of sightings, the same amount of live of eyewitnesses as Santa Claus, as the tooth fairy, you know, he might have one or two less than Bigfoot, but I would be treated like an insane person for saying that Jesus never existed. That is not fair, guys. That's what I'm saying. We cannot let the world be unfair to us. So if we state one truth, it's okay, but if we state another, then we get shamed for it. Why are you being shamed? Is it so the general public can keep this belief system that weakens their minds? Yes. So why should you be bold? So you can help to break that construct that is put over your families and friends' minds. Let's talk about this for a second, guys. We saw what this South Carolina pastor has recently now been criticized by his church, and now it looks like appears to be the world. He's on the news and all. He purchased his wife a $200,000 car. Yeah, right, Sean Elder. Can I get mental illness for 200,000 for 200, Alex? Absolutely. But so he purchased this $200,000 car, and he's wondering why in the world is he being criticized. I want you guys to just type in why would a preacher be criticized for buying a $200,000 car for his wife, even if it was his own money? Why would he be criticized? And a normal person wouldn't. A regular person who wasn't a pastor wouldn't, but a pastor would. Tell me why. Terry, absolutely. You said some people need Jesus to have existed. This is true. But I always say, man, sometimes people need a crutch too, and they need a cast. Doesn't mean it's permanent. And we have been made to need it. And so I think that even in that statement, we're putting the need as a catalyst when really the creation for the need was the catalyst. No one needs Jesus. We were created to think we needed Jesus. It's almost like a crackhead needing crack. Like whenever you get on crack or whatever, and you try to stop it, your body has developed a need for crack, and now you do. At that moment, you do have a need for crack. In fact, if you don't put that in your bloodstream, you'll begin to get sick because you're now addicted. Your body has developed a need for it, and you're going to go through withdrawals. That's what it's like with Jesus, you know. But had you never done crack and had this great dopamine rush, you know, this crazy dopamine rush that was seemingly unexplained or whatever, you wouldn't be addicted to crack. So had you never been sold on this idea of Jesus that because you loved it so much it increases dopamine, the same as cocaine or any other drug, you wouldn't have this need for it. Okay, Lavoda said, or Lavada, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, forgive me if I'm not, because them saints think it's materialistic and idolatry. I agree. It's not the money, it's the church's money. Okay, Leader White, I understand that too. So they worship poverty. They worship the poverty, God's, that's how come. Okay. He can feed the community. Absolutely, Sharon. Absolutely. Let's see. Garland said the problem is he put it on social media, and those white preachers, I don't think they do that. Well, now they do, man. They buy jets and all that kind of stuff. Now, granted, it depends on, I guess, who your congregation is and the spell that you cast over your over why you did it. Because I mean, he spent $200,000 on a car where a lot of these other preachers have spent millions of dollars on a jet, but they made it seem like it was for the ministry. You know what I mean? It'll help me get there faster. It'll help me travel to where I'm going fast. I don't know how that's better for the ministry when you got things like live Facebook and live YouTube. Why would you buy a jet and there's people starving in the world in a community? And you're talking about, I'm talking about, and even in your own community where your church sits, there is poverty in your own community. Not to mention, overseas or a place that you would have to take a flight to feed people. But with all these people suffering in the world, you would buy jets that you can travel fast. Okay, why not just be economically conscious and just do a live video where they can see you on camera? You can send the food if you're going to do that. You don't need a jet to fly to all these places. I guarantee you, wherever you're flying to speak, they have access to putting you on live. But you want to sell tickets, and that's just kind of the way it works. People are not going to buy tickets on live. So these other churches need to sell tickets to make money, just like any other coliseum, because these preachers are celebrities. So of course they're going to book these guys, pay these guys, and it's going to be worth it for him to take that flight. If it was really about ministry, though, we would find the least expensive ways to do this. And yeah, no, listen, guys, I want to let you guys know straight up. I 100% disagree with him buying the car, uh, with him buying that car. And here's why. For me, even if it was his own money, you know, uh, even if it was his own money from writing books or anything like that, you know, he claims to worship Jesus. Jesus is a person who wouldn't do that to people. Like if Jesus was wealthy, I guarantee you he wouldn't buy a $200,000 car at all, because Jesus would know that that's just depreciation. There's no point in buying a $200,000 car. You see what I'm saying? A God wouldn't have those type of materialistic needs. And people say they follow this person and want to be like him, and yet instead of helping people, they rather have a $200,000 car in the garage that they're not going to drive that often. You may drive this car 1-2 hours a day on average, less than that on average, and yet you bought that over feeding people. You had to have that. I think that's wrong 100%. And then you can go preach and ask them to donate. If you bought a $200,000 car, you shouldn't ask them for tithes. Jamie said this. Jamie said that he should have took that $200,000 and told his church, don't worry about paying tithes and offerings for the next 6 months to a year, and set his people free from finances for that next 6 months to a year. Wouldn't that have been dope? But no, he took that money and bought a Lamborghini with it. Wow. Here's what I'm glad about. I am glad that we seemingly live in a world that's becoming more mentally conscious, because years ago, preachers could do that and nobody would say a word. So you got to look at it on the bright side. Um, you got people now standing up to their preachers, asking them about their tithe and everything. So I mean, I could play the devil's advocate and ask the Christians, why would you be mad that he bought the money, bought the Lamborghini? Where did you think your money was going? Did you ask him where your money was going? Did he write down a contractual agreement with you on where your money was going to go? No. Well, then, my friend, you can't be mad at what he did with that money. You the one just gave it to him. Now, obviously, that's mean sounding, right? Because none of us think that way when it comes to church, but that's how we do. We simply just go hand him our money and we don't ask him what he's going to do with it. We just like how the message sounded. We just think that we're supposed to because he told us God said we should, but we never asked him. So really, do we have the right to be mad at how he spent the money? Now I don't go to the man's church, but I'm talking about the people who gave him their money. Do they have a right to be mad? I mean, of course they do, right? Because that money should have been used to help them. But based on them not getting any information on where this money is going to go, hey, they should have done more research. They should have paid more close attention. Thank you very much, Jay Fry. Absolutely, actions speak louder than words. I love how y'all take the words from my mouth now. Right, Leah. That has nothing to do with helping people, and it's crazy because it's like, just imagine, like, you wouldn't feel guilty riding around in a $200,000 car and seeing your church van pull up, and people get off the church van knowing they don't even have a car, and they tithe every week though, and you pull up in a Lamborghini, just one of your cars. You wouldn't feel convicted by that. I personally would. I couldn't do it. There's no way I could. Even if it wasn't a church. Right now, if we created, you know, someone said Kevin needs to create a church called Church of Reality. Let's say we created that church, the Church of Reality, a place where we could all go to weekly, and learn and all this stuff, right? Read, have a librarian, all kind of great stuff, right? And everyone is contributing, not tithe, but we sit down and come up with what needs to be paid to be able to cover the bills every single week, right? And we all together come up with what we're going to individually give to keep the place going. Now, let's say all of a sudden y'all see me pull up in a Lamborghini, and y'all know that y'all donating and dedicating yourselves to this facility to see it help your family and help your children, and you struggling. Now you could have upgraded your car too, but you giving this money faithfully, and all of a sudden I guarantee you, donations gonna slow down because people gonna be offended. I never told y'all I had the intention on buying no Lamborghini with none of that money. Thank you very much, James Kane. Actions speak louder than words. I saw someone else too. 1 second. Thank you very much, Black Caesar. Actions speak louder than words, brother. Yes or no, guys? If we create a Beta Evolution Center and y'all see me pull up in a black Lamborghini, are you gonna still continue donating? Yes or no? And this ain't even about. This is not even religious. This is just on some straight up morale stuff. Just some straight up like, no, I'm not gonna keep giving you money. If you're gonna sit here and buy stuff, no, I'm not. Thanks a lot, Sean Elder. Actions speak louder than words. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I didn't tell him. Yes, I get jumped on, Jay Fry. Y'all be coming for me, man. I have to hide. Yeah, y'all handle me real quick in a hurry, and rightfully so. Every look, not a single person on this feed on Facebook or or YouTube said that they would still continue giving if I pull up in a. Because here's the thing, guys. I could have bought more books. I could have bought more instruments for young children to learn how to play music. I could have bought more tools to be able to teach with. I could have bought more food. I could have bought more food to store to be able to help the community and feed the community with. I could have done so many more things with that $200,000, right? But instead, I bought a freaking car to drive around in. It shows you the maturity of people, y'all. But everybody want to feel like somebody, and not everybody. Don't get me wrong. Let's just say the lower thinking. When you think on that lower level with your ego, you want to be somebody. And what I mean by that is you want to be somebody important. So yeah, you want to drive a car like that. Garland said I was broke giving the church like a dummy. Me too, Garland, and was happy doing it, brother. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the thing, though, Rick. A lot of the reason is they identify with their pastor. They can be dressed in rags, but if they see their pastor in a suit, it makes them happy. Think about how crazy this is. It's like a disease, man, of the mind. I want my pastor to be in the best. What about you? Well, he my pastor. He should wear the best. What's the best? 10 years ago, this wasn't considered the best. Versace didn't even exist 100 years ago, right? What about when we were still riding horses? You wanted your horse. You wanted him on the best horse, right? The best stud. So now that we have cars, we've upgraded. So this is what we should do for our pastors. So if they come out with a spaceship, then our pastors should have the very best spaceship too, huh? And this type of thinking, man, is ridiculous. Why should your pastor have the very best linens on? Why should he have the very best fabric? Why? What's the point of that? There's nowhere in any book to justify that type of thinking, but I've heard it and used to think like that. Pastor's appreciation? Shoot. Bruh, pastor, that's better than Christmas. I'm gonna tell you what, bruh. What is pastor's appreciation equivalent to? You a grown adult, and you got other grown adults just bringing you gifts, bearing you gifts, bruh. And they all trying to give you the best one, competing for your love. And I'm serious. What is the equivalent to pastor's appreciation? Absolutely, brother. It's like a wedding party, but only one person get them. And don't get me wrong, the pastor's wife gets stuff too if he's married or whatever. But that would have to be the equivalent. You getting married, that's when you get your big gifts. You're gonna get that big old coffee maker that's a couple $100. That's people love you. Then everybody you get money in the envelope. You having a big wedding. This is what I would imagine. My wedding. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't think I got this from my own paradigm. I'm saying this strictly from TV, y'all. When I got married, I went to a courthouse and we had a couple witnesses. Jamie Mama married us, and we had a witness, my next door neighbor. There no gifts were given that day, but my gift was my marriage. So, but in the most cases, if you're gonna get married in a public setting, you're gonna get gifts. That's the equivalent right there. Hey guys, how do we sound? How do we sound? They say, can you hear Ricky? Ricky, I don't think they've been hearing you. Let's see, guys. We guys, man, how you just talking to me, man? You supposed to let them hear you because we was making a point. That is so funny. Y'all missed a good one, man. I'm sorry about that. Papa the Master said the court marriage is a scam. Hey, man, listen. If you met someone on a deserted island, right, you would never think to marry them. You'd never say, man, we got to find a way to get a plane, man, and travel to a first world country, you know, um, and go to a courthouse and get some paperwork signed. You'd never say no mess like that. You just love her. Because you guys say it sounds good, great. Yeah, yeah, okay, Lydia. Yeah, he was muted, so it's a wrap. Y'all, it's over for that one. Hang on one second. Hey, guys, hopefully I sound more clear. Let me know if anything's changed. All right, good. Everybody saying it sounds good, great. But guys, yeah, so yeah, it's pretty offensive to see, someone. Ricky's fine. I guess he had it on mute when he was talking. Probably just didn't think to let it go. He was just talking to me. No biggie, guys. But again, it is offensive to see someone like that, in that type of position, use their money that way, and it does bother you, even though it's not your money. They say it's not your why you worried about it. No, man, listen, you stand in a position where you're supposed to be helping people, and this is what you're doing with the money you collect. Even if it is from your business is probably now. I can't say for sure, but your business is probably the size that it is due to your public role, due to your platform. So you have to be honest, right? So I think that's wrong. Ricky, they want you off mute. They are coming at me. Ricky said if he drop another jewel, he'll let everybody hear it this time. He gonna be Mansa Musa and let everybody get a piece of it the next time. Peace to you, Sylvester. I'm gonna read some of your donations to see here. Right, leader. Leader says that hurts my heart, man. All those people could have been helped. I always feel the same way. My heart stays on people that of course are in need and thinking of ways that I can help them. And one of my dreams, guys, is just having the opportunity to be in a position where people trust me enough to send me the money so I can show them that at least one person out here is dead serious about helping people. Mansions are beautiful, man, but I have no need for one. And in a position of where you stand, where you saying you're helping people, you should never do that unless you're filling it up with people to live in there with you. You know what I mean? Giving other people a place to stay. That'll be different. But I mean, if a person is out here and they're a rich movie star or something like that, then whatever you want, do what you want. But if you out here asking people to donate to help you change the world, and you go buy a $200,000 car, man, you honestly, to me, you're a horrible person. Why don't you donate to the same stuff that you asking these other people to? So you got $200,000 to spare, but you asking me to donate to a cause? What the heck is wrong with you, right? If I come out and say, man, if y'all know I'm a multimillionaire, and I'm saying, hey y'all, donate so we can go, do something, and you're like, dude, you a multimillionaire. I don't even have no money. What you mean? What you asked me to donate for? I could see if you were struggling, brother. You sound crazy now. Absolutely. L said we got to stop falling for the okie dokie. We do, man.
Hey, yo, Kev, if I had my way, he'll be adding a wheelchair lift to that Lamborghini.
I'm telling you. Man, it's crazy. And the thing about it, man, is how shocked he is that this is happening. Like, wow, y'all really gonna trip me for buying my wife a car? Like, it's not about you buying your wife a car. You went overboard, man. That's ridiculous, But like I said, I do appreciate the fact that we are, smart enough now to see these people. Now granted, he probably gonna have several people who go to his church who so far under his spell that they're not gonna see it that way. They're not gonna have a problem with it or whatever. Again, people love their pastors, man. They want their pastors to be driving in the best. I mean, but me personally, I wouldn't want to be on the church van and see my pastor ride by in a Lamborghini. Like, and I know I'm about to give my tithe to this exact dude. Man, that made me not want to trust you, because I mean, why would I trust that you doing the right things with the money and you driving a Lamborghini? Like, come on, man, let's be real. Now, here's the thing, though. These people being leaders and supposed to be enlightened, why are they so stuck on that ego? Rick, I like, if you don't mind, man, if you could have that dialogue with me. Why would you say a person like that who spends so much time in thought and prayer and supposed to read the good book, the one true book of God, why do they struggle so much with their ego and having to dress the nicest and wear even all this gold and be adorned in the most expensive robes? You know what I mean? Have the nicest facilities and drive the nicest cars. Why do they have to be seen in such a glitzy, glamorous light? And they're supposed to be meek, humble, servants of God. But yet instead they look like freaking pharaohs in Egypt. What would you say to that, brother?
Well, the thing that I would say is that they take the part of the Bible where it says that they, like almost like Solomon, where or Abraham, where they had all of these things and they had all of these possessions. So they take that part of it, but they forget the part where it states that in the flesh you can't please God. A carnal mind can't please God. It's almost like they lose that aspect of it, and they only focus on the part where God got to have the best. He has to be glorious. So, and that's almost like that duality in the Bible where one part is telling you to be meek and lowly, and then another part is telling you, oh, build God this house or build God this temple, make it look great. And then the other part it tells you, don't care about the things in this world, don't care about the things in this life. So, but I feel like most of the times when these pastors take on that type of mindset, it's exactly indicative of what type of person they are. So that should be a telltale sign to me to let the believer know that this person is not real.
Wow, that's a great answer. Ricky's saying that the inconsistency in the Bible, of course, where sometimes, of course, the actual temple or the house of God, in terms of the building and the blocks and the mortar, was said to be lowly. It's not important, but then sometimes it was, let's build this place to be magnificent, and that can be confusing. And you can see how churches would play on that whenever it was important. Important enough. If the church is small and there ain't probably much going on with the church, they'd probably use that scripture. But it don't matter what your church look like. It's about your spirit. God lives in a temple not made of hands. And if your house is extravagant, then you're probably going to preach those scriptures about having a place that's so wonderful that when people walk in, they know God has been there, a place that speaks to the glory of God. And so now let's go get stained glass windows and spend extra money on windows because extra color shining, and we could put different images of what we believe in on these windows. Oh yeah, that'd be acceptable now because if we just buy stained glass windows, they may have a problem with it, even though they cost 3 times the regular windows. But if it's a cross on that window, or some praying hands on that window, or the Holy Spirit coming over, you know, John the Baptist being baptized, or the Holy Spirit coming over Jesus being baptized on a stained glass window, then that's perfectly acceptable. And this is what we do. I mean, we'll put $20,000 crosses at the top of our churches just to sit on top of the building. That $20,000 could have fed somebody, you know. But again, the crazy thing is, like, with all this literature reading, though, Ricky, because here's the thing: we understand that Jesus doesn't exist, so we understand that there is no mighty God at the pinnacle of religious literature, and specifically Christianity, as we're discussing Christianity. But neither is there some almighty God, Jesus type character at the pinnacle of the laws of Ma'at and the things that we study now. But we can actually say that we have lost ego. We have grown in areas since we've been studying the information that we study now. Why is it that religious literature doesn't give the same enlightenment, even though there's no real God attached to it, as just challenging yourself in thinking, free thinking, laws of Ma'at, and the things that we do now? Because we're not like that. And a lot of us used to be like that, used to think that we needed to dress a certain way to be valuable. And we've outgrown that due to this type of thinking now. But these guys been teaching this stuff and living in this stuff forever, but are still egotistical. Shouldn't you still grow even though there's no God attached? Or is the design of church keeping people dumb? As in they just regurgitate, and repeat messages that are not intellectual in nature.
Yeah, I just think, Kevin, it just shows that you can make the book mean whatever you want it to mean. If you like you just said, if you want to preach it from the point of view in um, a church that's not well built and it's on the uprise or it's in its developmental stages, you can point to the fact that it says, God does not dwell in temples made with hands. He don't need anything. What house would you build him? And then on the other hand, if your church is, like you say, if it's extravagant, if the preachers living a certain type of lifestyle, then he can point to the fact that, God is blessing me. I'm showing you the fruits of my labor. He points to the prosperity aspects, of the Bible. So it's just a book that you can make it mean whatever you want it to mean. I just all the person has to do is take the invisible God out of the equation and insert yourself in that same seat. So if you say that God sits on the throne and he rules over everything, take the invisible God or the God out of the Bible out of that picture and insert yourself. You are the master of your kingdom. You are the master or the creator of your universe. Jesus sits on your right hand. Usually we'll have a best friend or somebody that we can depend on, somebody that we can count on. It may be your spouse, it may be your best buddy, your right hand man. The king has a right hand. When you send your right hand out to do something, it's almost like he's you talking to the king. So if you talking to the king's hand, you have to be careful because you talking to the king pretty much. You addressing the king. So it's the same thing. God, Christ sits on the right hand of God. You are God that's sitting on the throne, and you rule, your kingdom. So I mean, it's just you can make the book mean whatever you want it to mean, and I think that's just what it comes down to.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Vicky. Vicky, she says, actions speak louder than words, and be the change you want to see. Absolutely. Ricky, man, that was powerful, brother. I'm gonna take a moment and just let everybody think on that while I talk about what's coming up for a moment, guys. So if you guys are on, just listen up really closely. Kevin Wesley Group is where you want to go if you're interested in traveling with us to go to Vegas in March. Okay, so if you guys are interested in coming to Vegas with us in March, let us know, Rick, if you don't mind. Post that picture up for us so that people can see what we got going on. In March, guys, we're going to Vegas. It's going to be a 2 or 3 day event. I think it's a 3 day event where we're going to be getting together, hanging out, just getting to know each other better. We know that a lot of us get ridiculed and we deal with separatism and loneliness in our own personal towns and personal families due to our belief systems now and us wanting to believe and think freely. Well, I'm putting together a system that allows us to build and grow side by side within. I'm talking about where we can put our hands out and touch and shake each other, not just look at each other across a screen. We can actually build a community with each other and get to know each other and see each other several times a year. And so if you want to be involved in something like that, make sure that you do that. Yeah, Joshua, I like how that sounds. Mission trips, I like that, brother. I like how that sounds, Josh. So if you guys are interested in doing that, most likely, man, you guys are gonna have a good time. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. You're gonna build stronger bonds with the people that surround you, stronger friendships. Maybe can start business with people. Maybe find the person that you love. Maybe find that person you want to spend the rest of your life with, or those people that you want to spend the rest of your life with. I know some of y'all out there, polygamous and all kind of stuff. We're getting weird out here. That's a joke. I don't consider any of it weird, as it all has its purpose. But some of you guys are looking for friends and family members, man. New family members, of course, that you can hang out with, have fun with, build with, and just have a community with. So if you guys are interested in doing that, just come with us. Come with us. We're gonna have a good time. It's not gonna be one of those serious type events where I just stand up and do lectures. No, we actually gonna go out and see the city. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna dance. We're gonna do some fun things, guys. So I want you guys to get to know me personally instead of just over. A lot of you guys have met me when I've traveled and done events, but I'd like for a lot of you guys and more of you guys to have an opportunity uh, to dialogue with me and just have some fun. So a lot of times when I do events, I stand up and I speak for hours, and then after the event, nearly every person that attended will be in a line waiting to speak with me personally. So I know that is something that a lot of you guys are interested in doing. So let's just do that, guys. Instead of just me standing up talking, we'll just go ahead and get together and have that trip, and have that discussion where we all can just dialogue with each other and build and share thought. I said yesterday, where two or more join together, of course, in sharing thought and speaking truth, uh, you know, power and building is right there in the midst, right? Because when I have an idea, that's going to spark you to thought, right? And then someone else's idea is going to spark someone else's thought. And before you know it, we're coming up with better ways that we can, you know, better ways that we can show this world, better examples that we can set for this world, which I think in turn will help create a better world, man. We always talk about being the change that we want to see, like not just always telling somebody to change, but you change first, work on you first, and then let your example cause others to want to change. Thank you very much, Shay. Actions speak louder than words. So, guys, that's the Kevin Wesley group page. If you don't mind, guys, if you're on Facebook, some of you moderators, if you're on Facebook, if you don't mind going to the Kevin Wesley group page and throwing that link in there for me. Let me see if I have it. I may have it. If not, I can go get it too. I don't know if the link will work if by posting it in YouTube, but I mean on YouTube. But if not, they can copy and paste it and it'll still work. That way, the Kevin Wesley group page is easier to find. So, guys, I'll be going live or posting a video that explains more in detail about how this works, and that way you guys can see if you're interested in doing it tomorrow and things like that. But I want you guys to go ahead and join the group so you can see this information when it posts. All right. So many people have already expressed their interest in going, and I'm very excited, guys. This surgery has taken me off my feet for 4 months, and I'm ready to get out here and go harder than ever. And I am going to be patient and and not rush myself, guys. But I believe a lot of you guys got my back if something does go wrong. So we're going to get out here and we're going to get it going, man. So let's get back to it, guys. And of course, we'll speak on, these Big Evolution Vegas here a little bit more too. But let's just talk about it, guys. So how do you guys feel about going insane? How do you guys feel about becoming more responsive, and even more responsible for exercising patience when dealing with other people who don't believe the way you do? How do you feel about being more responsible to letting people know that you don't submit or subscribe to certain type of belief systems anymore? How do you feel about that? Do you feel inadequate? Do you feel a little nervous, scared? How do you feel? Because some of you may say, I just don't want that type of confrontation, and that's all understandable. And I'm not saying it for the sake of confrontation. I'm just saying it for the sake of spreading, the word. We do want more and more people to understand. See, when I was young, we never heard anything about Jesus not being real. We never heard anything. I never heard anything about Allah. I never heard anything about Krishna or any other God out there. So of course I'm going to subscribe to to the religion that I'm taught. But had I grown up hearing other ideas that challenge my own perspective, maybe I wouldn't have been in it so long. And so that's why I say that we need to start speaking up. I would love to see in 10 years it be impossible for a child to grow up and reach, let's just say 10 years of age without hearing actual truth, instead of just being blindly, just pushed through what we understand now as religion. Kente say he's nervous but ready. I like the sound of that, and I understand that. Say what? Say what, Ricky? Okay. Terry said I'm good with it. You do have to get comfortable with sharing first. You do, absolutely. And for me, guys, I just feel like if a person feels brave enough to come up to you and start that religious rhetoric, then you should have the right to say, I don't support that information. I don't believe in that. If listen, just imagine that you were a Christian. If somebody came up to you and said something that that was leading to some other religion, you would tell them I don't believe in that, because you feel like Jesus would want you to, right? And you would have some type of you would know that you are within the majority of the paradigm of your country, so you probably feel more comfortable understanding as well. But still, because you believe in the deity of the religion, you probably feel more apt to saying, "Hey, I don't believe in that," because you take pride in that. The Bible tells you to, deny things that's not right, and always accept Jesus. So you take pride. Christians believe that one day they're gonna be putting guns to people's head, and you're gonna die for believing in Jesus, and they'll still say they believe in him. So you see what I'm saying? That's the type of thinking that they were raised with. Thank you very much, Tim. Actions speak louder than words, brother. Absolutely, it is pretty disturbing at Christmas time. When I was in sales, it really was, Tim. Man, they playing all the Christian music, man. Man, I'm talking about, dang, Smoking Norfolk gonna pop on singing Holy Night, Silent Night, and the dude can sing the song really well, you know. But after a while, it just gets old, man. Jermaine said, "I don't carry real knowledge. I always try. I'm not here to convince anyone, but if they're open to hear it, it's all good." I agree. I mean, we're not trying to beat anybody up or force them to. But if someone, hey, I was in Walmart, I was not Walmart, but I was in some store the other day, and I had on a Born Winter shirt, and the lady tells me that she likes my shirt. She's a cashier, and she didn't understand the shirt, so she goes on to say, "Yeah, everybody should know about Jesus." And I said, "Ma'am, my shirt says Born Winners. I don't support the belief in sin or Jesus. You know, well, I understand that there's no evidence for his existence. But I used to be Christian. That's what I said to her. And she was like, "Oh," you could tell she was very like, "Oh, it was weird." But she the one blurted out. She the one blurted out to me, "Yeah, everybody need to hear about Jesus." No, this is actually I'm trying to take that. I'm trying to change that. Actually, thank you very much, Frankie. He said, "Be the change family. Be the change family." Absolutely. And of course, Ricky. I'm Frankie. Actions speak louder than words. Calvin says they are allegorical characters in the Bible. They're allegorical in the Bible. They never existed, and that's even a way to say it. somebody comes at you with all this stuff, and you could just say, hey, you know what, these characters are allegorical. They didn't exist in the realm of reality. I understand that you believe that they still existed, but I have now come to the understanding where I understand that these people weren't real. And that's not being mean. That's not saying you stupid for believing in it. That's not saying, tell your God to show up and turn this live off, like Jamar told my man the other day and he got mad at us. Y'all remember what Jamar told my man if your God real, tell him to show him turn this live off? It was hilarious.
Yeah, I was just listening to that the other day, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. So we're not trying to ask them to prove it or anything. We're just trying to let them know that we don't subscribe to it, and it's not okay to run up with us with that rhetoric. It's really that simple. I mean, whenever the lady said it to me the other day, my child was in front of me, so she didn't even consider what I may believe in. She just went on ahead and blurted out what she believed in like it was cool. And that's what I mean. She is at work, y'all. She was at work. You're not supposed to do that at work. You can't be trying to sell me Jesus at work. So you can see she was all types of out of pocket.
That's how it goes. Like you can't say you're an atheist. They don't want to hear that. But anything that has anything to do with God is okay. You see what I'm saying? But you can't promote your what they would call atheist propaganda because they won't allow. You see what I mean? So it's like that's why I use their laws against, especially at work. So if my job ever comes at me, I'm gonna be like, I'm an atheist. Like that's my religion. You can't discriminate with me, even though atheism is not a religion. But I'll to them, if my job was in jeopardy, I would say it was a religion. I would say my atheism is a religion to me, and you can't discriminate against me based on my religion because it's written in the anti-discrimination laws. You see what I mean? So but when we say atheism, I know it's not a religion, but you can use it to your benefit by saying it is a religion. So I mean, because some people do ignorantly um, think that it is a religion or it is a belief system. So
Right.
but yeah, I would just use it against them. But it's okay to talk about Jesus, but it's not okay to say that he's not real.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Look at this. Omi said, she said, show your faith. A church has never helped an individual think for themselves or gave them options, nor will they. And I agree, Omi. They don't help you. They don't help you think for yourself. They just regurgitate and quote scriptures and design their messages in a really exciting way. It's like a pep rally. There's no intellectual teaching. If anybody ever listened to Dr. Ray Hagen's teach, when he goes into the different timelines, he breaks it down on an academic level. You can tell his goal is that you learn what this man is saying. He ain't trying to preach you happy and have you run out. That's one of the reasons I like his teachings. And if any of you heard him teach, you can agree, man. The brother, he ain't no joke. You know what I mean? And so, and the thing about it, he has a preacher background, and he has a preacher sound when he talk. He has that same type of passion. You can tell that he spent a lot of time in the church or whatever. And oftentimes, more than not, he sounds like a preacher. But he goes in academically and breaks this stuff down so you can learn it and know it. Preachers don't do that. I wonder sometimes how he switched it over or how he even taught as a pastor. I've never heard a Christian message from him, but there's no way possible to do that as a preacher because there's no way to really for anything to be a fact. It's because it is allegorical. It's not factual, so it'd be impossible to make it seem factual, without lying. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, why don't you intellectually teach someone how to think for themselves? Why not? Why don't you give them an option? And I've talked about this before, Umi. I've said that, even as a child, we were never told about any other religion. When they told us about religion, it was the Bible is the word of God, right? It is the word of God. And there was nothing else beside it. We didn't even get told that, hey, listen, other people do believe in anything, right? And we believe in this. And so if you want, take your time and read through this. But if you want to research other things, I understand that too. Nobody's ever gonna say that because there's this threat of hell on it, right? And that's why I say that if we care about our family and friends and loved ones, then we should be willing to say out loud that we don't subscribe. Just simply say I don't subscribe. I don't subscribe. I see no reason to have faith in that area at all. So Hey, I used to have that type of thinking where I believed in people that didn't exist and believed in people that and I don't want to say didn't exist, but I used to have that type of belief system where I believed in people that I couldn't see, and I accepted things based on how good they sounded, and how many people seemed to agree with it. But I no longer think that way. I now understand that everybody in the room can be wrong, and so just because the majority seems to believe in something, that does not make it right. I now understand that. At one point the whole world thought the Earth was flat, and if you said the Earth was round, you could be killed for it. And now the whole world thinks the world's round, and now you get ridiculed if you say it's flat. And literally nobody's seen the whole world. That's the world we live in. We've never seen it, but we want to argue about it.
You know what else is crazy, Kevin?
What's that?
Like when I talk with people, I make the point that they never read the book, and this is their defense when you tell them that you've read the entire book. Like you say, like you should feel comfortable telling people that you no longer subscribe. I be like, I did believe in the Bible until I read it, until I read the whole book, and then they would say, well, you need to read it again with the Holy Spirit. I'm like, what difference is that gonna make? Like, I don't need like. First of all, the Holy Spirit don't exist, and even if it did, like, why would I need the Holy Spirit to understand literature? Like, I would just need reading comprehension.
Right.
Right.
And guys, I see you guys commenting on flat Earth. I didn't mean to put that thought in y'all head. I don't. This is not whether or not the Earth's flat. I'm just talking about historically. There was a time where you couldn't say the Earth was round, and this just it shows you how people are. It shows you that it has nothing to do with fact because we still have look how far we moved from that historical point we are, and we have still never saw the Earth with our own eyes. This shows you how people will try to control the thinking of other people. And if you say something that upsets the thinking of the majority, how they'll flip it on you and attack you for it. That's why I'm speaking about flat Earth, not to decide whether or not Earth is actually flat. I'm talking about a point in history where it was really like that. And so I believe that we should be able to, being that we live in a world now that we have the right to speak freely, without being murdered and things like that. If you feel that the world is flat, then you should have a right to say it. If you feel it's round, you should have a right to say it. If you feel that Jesus never existed in the realm of reality, neither did Moses, Joshua, Jacob, Elijah, Ruth, Daniel, none of these people, um, you should be able to say that. Hercules, Zeus, Dionysus, Krishna, Buddha, Muhammad, Brahma, Ganesha, to continue to name a few more gods. You should be able to say these people never existed in a realm of reality. You should be able to say these people are symbolic, symbolic examples to use the characteristics that apply to them to yourself to grow. Or to use the proverbs that are attributed to them saying to be able to apply to your life for direction and growth. But they did not actually exist. That is not offensive to say. That is a fact. But in this world, I'm being a jerk right now. And I mean, and here's the thing, guys. Like, you can see it clearly. You're dealing with something that you have to learn academically. Someone can actually raise their hand and say, "Can you please explain it to me better? Can you please show me how you got that answer?" If it's math, I can show you directly how I got my answer. If it's reading, we can read the chapter again, and you can see why I believe that it happened in this way. Whatever I'm doing in my lecture. But if it's something religious and I ask questions, then all of a sudden it's going to be linked to my faith and my own lack of understanding, my own lack of ability to understand. And they say things like the brother just commented there, he who has ears, let him hear. Basically, if you understand me, then it's for you. And if you don't understand me, then it just ain't for you. Not I'm a horrible teacher and I'm only okay with I'm only good at teaching half the students in the class. A good teacher would never say, if you have ears, please hear it. A good teacher would say, okay, I see that that you've missed something. I see that something went over your head. Let's sit down and let me deal with you personally one on one if I have to help you get to where the rest of the class is. A good teacher would never stop and say, well, whoever understands it is for you. If it ain't for you, then bump it. That's silly. Thank you very much, LeSean. Actions speak louder than words. LeSean said NASA makes $70 million a day, and they've never left the planet, guys. All they can tell us is that there used to be water on Mars. We need more information than that to justify this money we giving them. That money could be used to help them save the world. Let's be honest. There you go. Yes, Josh, that's true. Josh, that's true. Buddha never existed. No, he didn't. Siddhartha never existed. No, they never exist. They never existed. Neither did Jesus Christ. That's okay. And it's okay. Now, if you want to refer to someone being called the Buddha as a title, then you're dealing with something different. Just like being called a Jesus is a title. Jesus means enlightened one. Jesus is the Kundalini energy that rises to your pineal gland. So Horus, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, all these are actually titles that goes with the Christ enlightening. These are not actual people who lived and had powers and reincarnated and all this kind of stuff. So when you're talking about people existing, you're talking about people like, say, if I were to say George Washington existed. Okay, yes, George Washington existed. But are we to believe that he never told a lie because that's attributed to his existence? No. So if someone believes that George Washington never told a lie, the George Washington that you believe existed never existed. Because George Washington, in fact, told a lie. That's just something people say. So if you say Jesus existed and he walked on water and raised the dead and then died and rose again and then flew up into heaven with no strings touching him, I'm going to say that person never existed. Now, I'm not talking about Jesus or Jesus that I went to school with. I'm sure there's been millions of Jesuses that existed and Jesuses that existed, but the one that you're talking about, they never existed. Does that make sense, family? Let me know if that makes sense. Someone existing does not give them credit to everything that's ever been said about them. People have gossiped about me and said bad things about me. Because I actually exist don't mean I did the crap. People have said hyperboles about me, and put a little sprinkle of sugar and cinnamon on things when they speak about me and made it sound even better. It don't make it true. Some lady told me I had a silver tongue. That don't make it true. Said you could sell water to a well. She said, you deep. You can break up a whale fight. Oh, man, I tripped myself out. Now, do y'all believe I can go break up a whale fight? No. Absolutely. Thank you, Umi. I appreciate that. So, if someone says, hey, man, that brother's deep, man, he could teach and everybody could understand it. He could speak in ways that could confound the ignorant, and then something happens to me and I lose my life, right? And everybody say, man, there was never a person that ever came across Kevin that he couldn't enlighten. Man, come on. Y'all gonna believe all that's true? Y'all gonna believe all that hype too? Let's not get crazy, right? It's one thing to be a good person and try to change the world in a positive way. It's another thing to be magical. Come on, guys. We know better than that. And so people say, well, you never saw George Washington and he never, but you don't, and you believe he existed. If you told me George Washington walked on water, I would start to second guess his existence, bro, because you're putting too much on it. If you told me, man, my father's name was Charles Edgerton, I would say, okay, cool. I don't have a reason to not believe that, Rick. That sounds like a normal name, whatever. But if you say my daddy's name was Charles Edgerton and he could lift up 20,000 pounds and leap a building and run faster than a speeding bullet, and he lived to be, he died twice and came back to life, after having his whole head chopped off. His arm got lost one time, cut off one time, and he grew it back. I'm gonna start doubting if Charles even exists. I'm gonna be like, if that's his real name. Because I doubt you now, right? You've now put too much on it, bro. I believed you when you said your daddy's name was Charles Edgerton, but now since he can fly, lift 20,000 pounds, I'm starting to doubt his existence, right? Yeah, so I wouldn't be shocked if I met your daddy and his name was Ricky, just like you. I'm starting to think you lie about everything. Yeah, so we have to learn. We have to learn, man. Like, you know, Earl the Goat Manigo is attributed for jumping up and taking a stack of quarters off the backboard. Now, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, that happened, but I don't know if there's any footage of it. So a lot of people say that may have not happened. So that is crazy. I mean, I know Dwight Howard did it, but I mean, I don't know about Earl the Goat Manigo. But I mean, I remember watching the movie growing up, thinking, man, he jumped up and grabbed a whole stack of quarters off the backboard, you know, and put it on top of a dollar. He took the dollar and left the coins up there, something crazy, you know. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, you know. But what if one day we find out he didn't do it? You know what I mean? That he didn't actually do it to that degree. How many times, man, Ricky? How many times you've been watching? You've been in school and you hear about somebody fighting? They telling you about the fight, and they tell you the dude hit the other person and knocked them 10 feet in the air, like, you know what I mean? And you know that didn't happen like that. You know it didn't happen like that. But you do believe they fought. But if he told you, if he said Ricky, he hit him and knocked his whole head off, bro, literally, dude head rolled down the hallway. You go be like, was there even a fight? Like, why you lying, bro? Thank you very much, Lorenzo. Actions speak louder than words. He says, lunatic, liar, or legend, they are legends made into gods. Absolutely. Even if they, again, if like you said, or legend, positive or negative, they are made into gods. They are not actually gods. What was you about to say, Ricky? Absolutely. My brother James Stanley said, it's so true. A liar will make you doubt everything they say. Like, see, eventually you won't believe, even if it sounds normal. Like, we learned these, like, and this is what I mean. We learned this from the little boy that cried wolf. You know, we didn't need I'm trying to think right now. Is there a story in the Bible where someone continuously lied? I don't think there is, where they continuously lied like that. But the little boy that cried wolf teaches us that when you continuously tell stories, that it makes you lose the trust and the validation of the people around you. So try to be as honest as possible as often as possible, right? And so that's the best way to live your life, being honest. Whenever he finally actually saw a wolf, nobody believed him.
And that's a
And
great
see,
story, Kevin, because it's just like, again, the Bible just are just stories that you can extract meanings and lessons from. That's all it is. It's not literal. I was just thinking the other day, you brought up the boy that cried wolf. I was just talking to a friend, and I was just like, the tortoise and the hare. You can extract all types of lessons from that story. Don't be overconfident. Don't underestimate your opponent. Don't be arrogant. You know, even if the person is faster than you, I'm gonna race you no matter what. You see what I'm saying? I know you could beat me, but I'm still gonna fight you. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's all
hey,
types of
you're not
lessons.
muted, are you, Ricky?
No, I'm not muted now, bro.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's all types of lessons you can extract just from that simple story. You know, so the
Absolutely.
Bible's no different.
Absolutely. I'm gonna show you something, guys. For the guys that's on Facebook and you guys see Joshua's statement here. Joshua, I want you to see something here. That statement that you put, even though you may feel strongly confident in it, I'm going to show you how easily this could be pushed another way. The existence of Allah is historically valuable. The Quran is reliable. It is a reliable collection of historical documents written by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. They support supernatural events that take place in the fulfillment of specific prophecies that claim their writings are divine rather than human origin. Does it now make Allah and the Quran true? Saying things like this don't make it true. This is what I mean. We live in a world where people cry out to this Jesus all the time to be fed, and they die of hunger. Right? We live in a world where people who claimed to believe in this Jesus caused slavery for 400 years in the Americas. Okay, slavery was caused by Christians. This was their belief system of the people who caused slavery, and they worshiped Jesus. So where was Jesus when this happened? So you have to think: does this person actually exist? So typing a nice little paragraph doesn't prove anything. We're talking about we really need proof. We've heard all the beautiful messages. We've saw all the words typed, We need proof now. It's time to put your money where your mouth is. If a lot of y'all remember that term, right? Because we've seen so many people who've got convinced into believing these things for the wrong reasons. You know, I've seen people who, were struggling in marriage, struggling in finances, and many other things, and they just get told if you start coming to church, it'll be better. And we know it doesn't work that way. You need counseling. You know, if your family is struggling, and you're struggling in your family and marriage, you may need counseling. If you're struggling in your finances, you actually may need counseling. You may need to be taught how to manage your finances better. You know, it's not, you shouldn't join a church and give them your money to help your finances. And what you find is whenever you commit to these crazy ideas, they don't work for you. It's the same as when people go to a psychic and pay them to talk to them for their loved one. You know, I want to talk to my father, my mother, my daughter, my sister, my son, someone who died and passed away. I still want to communicate with them. You know, and it's going to help my life. How's it going to help your life? Being manipulated and still talking to somebody who lived on earth, who you believe, who actually lived on earth before. Why would it help your life to still talk to them in another world? You see what I'm saying? And they believe that that a lot of them really believe that these psychics are really talking to their loved ones. And you can tell it's crazy, man, because they'll be like, I hear a J, right? We talked about last week. I hear a J or a G. You know, I'm hearing a Charles. I think I hear they'll give you the first letter, but then all of a sudden they'll give you full paragraphs. He said he was in a car wreck. Okay, he can tell you he was in a car wreck, but he can only give you the letter J of his name. Something is stupid here. Come on, man. I hear J, and you be like, yeah, I got an uncle named Jim who died. Oh, okay, this is okay. He said he died in a car wreck. What?
You know what's crazy though, Kevin? We don't even think about this, but like the church is okay. You go give them your money. Like okay, you go give them $20, and God gonna flip it. That's
Right.
what it is. Like you hoping God flips your $20 into $200 or into $2,000. So what difference is that than gambling? You know what I mean? Like you go to the casino with your little $100 or whatever, and you hope to increase that to 1,000. So you give the preacher your $100, you hoping that you get an increase on that. So what's the difference?
Brother, I'm gonna tell you, this is what you just said was one of the most powerful thoughts that I heard all month. What's the difference in between giving your money to a church and gambling? I unfortunately have a very simple answer. The difference is when you give your money to the church, you never win. All jokes aside, mentally there is no difference. It is a gamble. You're taking a gamble every time you give your money to the church. There's nothing statistically telling you that you're going to get something that wins. Just like in a gamble, right? You're just going to take a chance and hope that you're lucky. I really feel whenever you gamble, it's emotional. When you tithe, it's emotional. When you give your what's the name, it's emotional. You hoping God does something back. But like I say, when you gamble, at least there's a statistic that you actually gonna win. You know, when you give your money to the church, you are never getting that back. You're never getting that back, y'all. Like, listen, you can get your income taxes the next day. You can get in a car accident and total your car, and your insurance pay you 20 grand for injuries. The money you gave to the church is gone. Please stop thinking that other things that come inside of your income is the money you gave to the church. No, that money is gone. That stuff was going to happen anyway. Trust me. If it were true, then every black person, not every black person, forgive me, because I'm bleeding into my next thought, but every person who gave money to churches would be getting money back, because the Bible says that freely you will get back, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. That's what it says. Now my next thought when I say black people is, as much as black people give, because they give more than any other race, why are they on the bottom of the social and economic scale? If God gives to people who give, black people give the most. Shouldn't they be giving the most? Come on, think about it, guys. There is no factual logic between giving and receiving to no church. We know that. So you never gonna get your money back. You better off going to Vegas with us. We're not going to gamble, but you can go hit the gambling arena if that's what you like to do. Where you ain't even got to say hey about us. Just go and gamble if that's what you want to do. Thank you very much, Riri. Actions speak louder than words. She said, trust your instinct will lead you to the truth. That's absolutely correct. If you were to close your eyes and you can smell it, you can smell this smell of cooking, and you start walking in one direction, and you notice that smell getting lighter, you're gonna have to trust your instinct and start walking towards where the smell is heaviest. And if you can do that, you will find the smell. And I say that because smell is invisible. It's not something you can see unless you done smoked your whole house up. So if y'all saying, well, you can see smell in the smoke, then you don't know how to cook. Quit smoking your house up. I can show you how to get that smell without the smoke. All right, because I'm Chef Kevin over here.
Hey Kevin, why you talking about the casino and why we talking about Vegas? You know, I made a video a while back comparing the church to the casino. You know, just another point with what we just talking about. Just like the casino, don't ask you where that money comes from. The church doesn't ask where that money comes from. They just take it. And that's it. And they just like the casino, Vegas be the evolution in March 2019.
And I guarantee you, the owner of the casino got a nice looking Lamborghini. I guarantee you, he is rolling on something nice, man. I guarantee you, he is. Ain't no way he's not. So it's time, man. It's time for us to start thinking on a higher level, man. And if you are giving your money to the church, please reconsider. Please think about your life, man, and look at how it relates in reference to you giving your money to the church. When did you start giving? Have you saw an increase? The Bible says you should see an increase, that it'll be given to you immediately. So guys, you shouldn't be sitting here 10 years, 20 years down the road still trusting this method. Anything else, you would have learned that it was the wrong thing. If Ricky told me, man, hey, if I say, Rick, how do I get to Walmart? If that dude say, man, it's 3 miles down the road on the left. If I'm still driving 20 miles later, that's my own dumb fault. You understand what I'm saying? I cannot be mad at Rick for the miles I wasted, the time I wasted, because he told me it's 3 miles up the road. The Bible tells you it will be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Not a check in the mail next week that pays your light bill. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This means in abundance. This means you'll have enough money to loan other people. You won't be broke at all. This is what I'm saying. It relates it to a harvest. If you plant a few seeds, you get way more. It yields way more fruit than the seeds you put in the ground. It refers to it. If you plant a seed, you grow a harvest. It is magnified. You should get back way more than what you gave. So why would you continue to drive down the road knowing you had to have passed Walmart by now? You've been on the road for 20 miles. It's 20 minutes. You should have stopped at 4 miles, 5 miles, and say, okay, maybe I passed it. And then man, ask somebody else. Don't just if you drive 3 miles, 4 miles down this road, you get to 5 miles and you don't see it. Okay, he said it was gonna be on the left. Okay, maybe it was on the right. You didn't see it on the right either. Man, stop and ask somebody else. You still go down the road. That's you. That's you being crazy.
You know what? To add to that point, Kevin, I was listening to a motivational speaker a while back. His name is Zig Ziglar.
I hear you, brother Renzo. Sorry about that.
And he said he says that he hears people say a lot, "You are exactly where you want to be." Okay, and he said that's wrong. He said he used to repeat that because it sounds great. It sounds philosophical, but he was stating that he realized one day he needed to go somewhere. He received some directions from someone, and the directions that the person gave him sent him in the opposite direction of where he wanted to go. So after he had been driving for about 30 minutes, he realized he was 20, 30, 40 miles further away from his intended destination. So his whole point with that is sometimes you're not exactly where you want to be. Sometimes you're where you are because someone gave you some bad directions.
Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. I'll tell you, some people don't even look how they want to look, and I'm gonna explain that in a minute. But I want to say this right here. Frankie Davis said, when I was in church, I remember calculating my tithes in 2004, and they were in excess of 25K in that 1 year alone. Goodness gracious, brother. See what I'm saying? And I know this brother is thinking, man, if I could have that money back, the things I could actually do with that money. And I know he's probably thought, man, I wonder what they did with that money that year. 20 grand? Wow. Thank you, Joey. Actions speak louder than words. Glad to be back, brother. Yeah, I'm still healing, man. It's to me it's been so far a slow process, but I'm still trucking. Feel like I'm getting a little bit better every day. The other day, guys, if you watch the program on Patreon, if you haven't saw that, if you haven't joined my Patreon, guys, it's $2. Hopefully, you guys have joined or are going to join. But I do a series called the D program that's exclusive only for Patreon. This last video called The Insane, I literally did like 4 laps, man, while I was talking around this big old lake and didn't even realize it. I was just in my bag. And it was crazy because I can barely get up and walk around sometimes because I'm so weak. And that I haven't walked that long since I was on my surgery. And I thought about it, man. When I went to Dallas this last time to do that event with the family, I drank my first whole bottle of water. And I'm starting to find out something, man. I know that my passion, I was telling Jamie this, that I know that my passion, anybody wonder who Jamie, that's my children's mother, but we like best friends. So we rap off often. But either which way, I was telling her that, in life, when I was depressed, when I was down and out, my passion is what healed me. It helped me get through writing songs, writing poems and speaking out about, the things I was going through, expressing myself. They seem to heal me internally. But it seems as though my passion is actually helping to heal me externally. It seems like every time I get myself around the things and the people that I love, I get a little bit better. I was really struggling before I went to Dallas, and just sitting around all that love and people. We was just out having a great time. I got better, man. I got back home feeling a little bit better, a little bit stronger. And again, I was on of course, I was just on the phone making a video, but I was talking to my family, and I was talking about something that I love and I'm passionate about. And I was able to make it around that lake 4 or 5 times, man. And I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not been doing that. So I wish I lived near that lake, and I'd be doing it way more often. Unfortunately, I was out of town that day, but if I was walking around that lake, had a lake like that near me every day, I could really get up and get a whole lot more walking in. That'd be pretty cool. But either which way, man, thank you for of course wishing me luck in my healing and all that kind of stuff. I appreciate that, brother. And what you had ended on that topic, and I saw what Frankie had posted about that tithe, and I just kind of went left after that. And of course, speaking to the brother who had just donated, what were you saying, Ricky? See if I can catch my last thought. Absolutely. Right, and I even said some of us don't look how we want to look. In terms of how we would have looked had someone not given us direction. Right? How many of us have dressed in something, wore a certain hairstyle, done something that changed your look in some way, and your significant other or a friend said, "Oh my God, girl, that looked good." Or if you change this, oh, you would be killing it. If you do this, that'll make you look nice. Oh, that really brings out your eyes. That color really brings out your hair. That really makes you look slim. Oh, that really insinuates and brings out your curves. And now all of a sudden you start dressing and looking like other people around you kind of give you that type of push. Now, come on, guys. Yes or no? Has this ever happened to you? Thank you very much, Lita. Have you ever been convinced to change your appearance due to someone complimenting you? Just be honest, guys. Or change your appearance due to someone insulting you, telling you something didn't look good. So just tell me, guys, have you ever changed anything due to that? And once you realize that you have, you're going to understand that even internally we do the same things. People guide us. They give us information and we listen to it. And someone might say, go see this movie, it's a great movie, and solely off of that information you went to that movie and saw that movie. So we know that we can be directed by other people. So are you where you want to be, or are you a result of your decisions, or are you a result of someone else making decisions for you? And I think that the same way as your body, as you have a whole new body right now, like there is not a single cell in your body that was in your body 10 years ago. Your whole being has changed due to regeneration. And I believe that right now we can say that our lives is mostly other people directing us. But as we begin to make our own decision, 10 years down the road, we're going to be able to say, my life is a result of me and me making my own decisions. Calvin says, absolutely, yes, that happened to me. I grew a beard. I was convinced to grow a beard. Calvin, I'm the same way, brother. Listen, I've never had a problem with wearing my bare face until now. This beard game trend has ruined me. I can't even show my naked face no more without somebody saying, grow your beard back. 10 years ago, I could wear my naked face and, I was still handsome. Now all of a sudden, I got to have my beard. And so that's why I keep it, brother. So, but again, that's style. It's style. We live in a world where wearing big, bulky beards is actually attractive when it was like a cave, like a lumberjack type dirty man's thing. But again, yes, somebody told me, man, you look better with your beard, and here I am wearing a beard. Somebody might say, say I'm dating someone who say I like you better with your face shaved, and my face you may see me with a face shave. People can direct and change your walk, change how you look. Thank you very much, LMLOP. He said, I just said like LMLOP. Is that why you did that? Glad to be back. Thank you very much. Right, absolutely, Corey. Said the energy of others can motivate or manipulate you as well. Absolutely, it can. I mean, you could be trying to be verified or approved of by someone, and they may never disapprove of you, but because they never, you know, give you a bunch of compliments, you continue to still try to be approved by them, be affirmed by them. What is affirmed? Affirmed means to be approved by someone, right? To be told that you're good enough. And a lot of times we need to hear that from people who don't say it to us. And it seems like the longer they don't say it, the more we want these people to say it. It's kind of like a whole different twist on manipulation. We're being controlled by someone who because we want them to say something, and we'll act outside of ourselves to try to get that type of attention, and it can shape your character. So absolutely, Ricky, that's 100% right. You dropping some great points tonight, man. You can definitely be manipulated and directed by what different people say. And I've heard that before, that you are where you want to be. And when they try to say that, they're saying that the decisions that you made in life was the ones that you wanted to make, and those decisions put you where you are in your life. So you may not like where you are, but where you are is what you want. It's kind of like if you don't make your bed, then you want to sleep in a messy bed. You can't come home to a messy bed and be mad because it's messy. This is what you wanted. If you didn't make your bed, you wanted to come back in here with it like that. Here's how you know. Leave your house one day with your bed messy. Nobody else come in your house, and you come home and your bed clean. You're gonna be like, who been in my house? Yeah, you want your bed to be messy. You don't want nobody else doing it, right? So yeah, so it's kind of, so that's when they say it like that. It's like you've made the decisions that shaped your life. So this is what you wanted, but no, it's not what you wanted. You've made, like you said, I was shaped and coaxed into making these decisions. So what I ended up with isn't what I wanted. That's almost like saying, make this recipe, and you don't know quite how to make it, and people tell you what you should put in it. You know how you call your grandma up, but how long do I leave these hog maws on? Right? How long am I supposed to leave this cabbage on? And she tell you, baby, you're supposed to do this and do that, right? And so you end up with what grandma made. What you end up with what she told you to make, right? And so again, if you don't like the taste of it, that's not what you wanted. You see what I'm saying? So now you're not ending up with what you want 100% of the time. But what you should do is when you don't end up with what you want, reevaluate the process and make adjustments. So once you get grandma's recipe, if you find out it's too salty, too sweet or whatever, then you're gonna say, I'm not gonna put as much sugar in it next time. And maybe next time you'll end up with what you want. You see what I'm saying? Dan Sim says, Robert's done broke in and cleaned my house. Yeah, you dang right. I guarantee you won't be happy with that. Even if they didn't touch a single thing, you still gonna feel uncomfortable and unsafe in your house.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of perspective, man. Like so many things have double meanings. Just like last week you was talking about just all of the different words that have or phrases that have several different meanings, and even that one phrase there or that one saying where you are exactly where you want to be, like you that's correct and it's incorrect. You
Uh-huh.
see what I'm saying? So when you talk about the sum total of your decisions and your choices is correct, but then when you talk about circumstances you that are outside of your control, then it's not correct. You see what I'm saying? So a tornado comes and destroys your house and makes you homeless. That's where you want to be homeless. Not you see what I'm saying? So there's some things that are
Absolutely.
just going to be totally outside of your control, and it's going to put you in a position that you don't want to be in. But your decisions and your choices wouldn't have had any type of bearing on that particular situation.
Absolutely. So Corey says here, do you think many people acting um, off of convenience or confused? Ah, listen, man, I'll tell you both. It because confusion has been made to be convenient, and that sounds like a crazy way to answer that question, man. But let me explain. Maybe I can bring some some clarity to what I'm trying to say here. When I say it's both, you got people who are confused, who are stuck in the paradigm and being manipulated simply because they are really confused. They don't know any better. But then you have some people who they do it simply out of convenience. It's easy for them. It helps them be mobile in their own life. See, a lot of entertainers, it's convenient to subscribe to religion, as it is the paradigm of the majority. You can stand up and say, I thank God for this trophy. I thank God for this and that, and these things are gonna get the approval of the public. If you are a celebrity and you're not saying those type of things, then you're probably not gonna be as liked, right? Not as accepted. People love that. They love when you talk about God. So yes, a lot of people who accept it merely off convenience. Um, and let's see what he said here. He says both convenience because they don't want to be an outcast, confused because they have never been given. Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with that sentiment as well, Calvin. A lot of people accept it off convenience because they don't want to be an outcast, or they work inside the church, might play instruments inside the church, and it's yielding them an income. And they may have said, hey, you know what? Ain't no God or no devil. I'm gonna play this daggum music until I get something better. Cause hey, I ain't about to let these people make me feel bad. I don't believe in this crap, but I'm gonna play this music until I'm straight. And I mean, I understand all of that. You guys' income is very important to you. You got to live, And so again, it all plays though. It all plays into us being silent though, because you do have to keep your income and have to keep working in the church. You can't be honest. You can't stand up about what's true and what's not, and that's going to hurt us in the end. You know what I mean? And so that's why a lot of people be like, man, I really would love to share your stuff and speak on it, but man, I still got a job in the church, so I can't do that. And so they openly understand that it is hindering them being as open as they possibly can. But I'm not saying every one of us, regardless of what you do, should just open your mouth and say that it's not true, because I don't want you making your life worse. Because I ain't got enough room for y'all to be coming living with me when y'all get fired like me and get kicked out. You know, so I wouldn't suggest that you guys do anything crazy, but at the same time, I think we should start making the necessary steps so that we can be more honest, so that we can speak up more often without having to worry about people trying to be able to take what we have. Start creating our own. There can be absolutely. It can be. Definitely a guilt trip. They'll guilt trip you and just acting like you accept their religion. I mean, I've seen people guilt tripped into praying when they didn't want to pray. I've seen it just because they didn't want to be that guy who say they don't believe in it. Nobody wants to be called an atheist. That's now a dirty word, or an insult. Guys, just another second, just to mention it again for anybody who coming on. Um, if you guys are interested in linking up, make sure that you guys join the Kevin Wesley group page. We're gonna be in Vegas in March, and I'd love to see all of you guys there. And it'll be a 3-day event where, of course, like I said, I won't be doing too much talking. We will talk, but we're gonna be hanging out, having fun. I want you guys to get to know me on a personal level. I want to get to know you guys on a personal level. A lot of guys ask me, Kevin, why don't you create a dating app so we can start meeting other people that think like us, that's like-minded? Well, here's my dating app. Yeah, this is your opportunity to get your hind out here to Vegas, and then you'll be able to maybe meet somebody that wouldn't mind dating your crazy butt, your insane butt, you know. But you ain't gonna be able to do that from home. You ain't just gonna be able to walk up the street and find somebody who think consciously. So if you guys are interested in looking to get out and fellowship and meeting somebody, that makes you happy, or meeting somebody that you can even work with in future endeavors, come on out, man. We're gonna have a good time. Rick, if you don't mind, post that picture up again just so people can see it.
Yes, sir, will do. And we just got to point out that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and I look much better in person. Just putting that out there.
Oh my god, man, that's funny. Appreciate you filling us in on that, Rick. Yeah, you got to. So if y'all don't recognize the tall, 6'4" handsome brother in the corner, that's Ricky, okay? Yeah, he gonna look different in person. Nah, I'm messing, man. So listen, guys, man, if y'all want to roll out and hang out with us, man, y'all better be on this trip. I'm telling you. And listen, if you can't make this, don't worry, we will be having other ones. But this is the initiating event, so believe me, I'm gonna be trying to overdo it and make it so it's so exciting that y'all definitely won't want to miss the other one. So you're gonna want to be there for this one. Again, we're gonna have things that we do together during the day. We're gonna have the conference room, of course, available so we can have our little lectures, our little private sessions, and get together and talks. But we're gonna travel the city a little bit and get to know each other. Andrew Alexander says, "Is anyone truly an atheist?" The atheism is a term of somebody who denies the belief in a God. No real atheist is comfortable with that term, because no real atheist would have denied the belief or denied the existence of a God had they not been told they had to believe in one. We all find it crazy that there's a title for someone who doesn't believe in stuff they can't see. We don't understand, why do we need a title? We don't do anything that's morally consistent with not believing in a God, right? People who don't believe and support religion don't get together for meetings. We're trying to now, you know, but at the same time, you don't have people who worldwide who don't subscribe to religion getting together and trying to do things that are traditional. That's impossible. So why even give them a name? There's no need. You don't have a whole bunch of people who don't subscribe to religion being locked up and put in church. So there's no need to even separate people from the rest of society that don't believe in religion, because there's no need. If atheists were prone to violence, then you should say, okay, that person don't believe in God. We have more atheists in prison than Christians, and it's a Christian majority world, right? So that would be a crazy statistic. So that would be worth saying, okay, this person atheist. This could mean something. But there's no need to describe a person who doesn't subscribe to a belief in a God. There's no need. There's no name for somebody who doesn't believe in Santa. What do you call that? Because we know that there's no moral consistency that goes along with people who don't believe in Santa. People who don't believe in Santa don't go around killing people, just like people who don't go around believing in religion don't go around killing people. We know that. So we're not atheists. Okay, we're not titles that was created by men. So there's no way to be truly an atheist. No, there's no way. We rather identify with being a free thinker than being anything. We're not denying the existence of God. We're telling you we don't accept or subscribe to the existence of God because there's no evidence. We're not denying the existence of Wolverine. We're telling you we don't believe Wolverine exists, as there's no evidence to support his existence. But we're not saying there was no Wolverine before and nobody ever told us there was. You see, so I would never deny that there was never a Wolverine with adamantium in his claws unless somebody first said he existed. So don't title me for not believing in that.
Yo, Ken. Yeah, I was just talking to a friend earlier today, and I just made the point with them, and this kind of goes along with what you're saying. You said free thinker. Okay, that's the greatest term, because your thinking is free. Your mind
Right.
is free when you're not in religion. When you're in religion, your mind is not free. Okay. And then also, like, when people try to say, well, where do you get your morality from? I'm like, just because you're religious, it doesn't make you moral. I was like, first of all, society and the criminal justice system punishes people when they do something wrong. I was like when someone murders a person, they're not running from God. They're running from the police and from the law. They're not running from God. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, the criminal justice system is what punishes people, not your make believe God.
Absolutely. And here's another great way to answer that question. Where do you get your morale from? Okay. Where do you get your morale from? And they're going to say, well, I get my morale for the Bible. Oh, really? So what do you think should happen to a person who boils a goat in their mother's milk? What do you personally think should happen to a person if they boil a baby goat in its mother's milk? They're gonna be like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. Well, your God has a problem with that. You obviously don't care. So your morale didn't come from the Bible. Come on, let's be real. If your morale came from the Bible, you would be caring about the same things your God cared about. Your God does not care about the same things you care about. Your God cares about if you're circumcised or not. Your God cares about if you actually have your testicles or not, if your nose is wide or not. These type of things are what your God cares about in the Bible. He cares if you boil a goat in your mother's milk. This is important to your God. And so if you really got your morale from your Bible, this is how you would think. You would still be thinking that people should be stoned. You see, or you would have thought that during the time that God thought that, before he changed his mind as Jesus. But he never changed his mind. And so when people say, where does your morale come from, it's just like they think that you only have morale because you're a Christian. Well, listen, what if I told you 90% of Christians are Christian? I'm not 90% of prisoners are Christian. 90% of murderers and rapists are Christian. So where's their moral code from? The Bible? These pastors rape and molest children. Slavery was induced by Christians. What are you talking about? Absolutely. And I say that all the time because I want people who identify as black. I'm trying to help with people who identify, with black with the anger that of course we project towards people who identify as white because of what happened during slavery. So instead of saying that white people brought about slavery, because we know there were other races involved in slavery, and there still has been other races involved in slavery throughout the history of this world. Right? We were enslaved to Muslims for 1,400 years. So instead of saying that, let's say that black people were enslaved by Muslims, not black people, not Arabic people, but by Muslims for 1,400 years. And then this last time, they were enslaved by Christians, not white people, Christians. These people identified with the Bible, and we was enslaved to them for 400 years, y'all. And you think that because you're a Christian, you're supposed to have moral? No, these last 400 years have shown us that Christians hang people. Christians beat the black off people just because they don't like how you look. Christians will rape you just to have lighter children. Christians will sell you from your family members. This is what we've learned from Christians in the past 400 years, family. So stop saying that the Bible gives morale. It does not. The Bible justifies cold, unadulterated evil. Listen, y'all, a lot of you guys have thought about it, but a lot of you haven't. The God of the Bible, of course, reveals himself to the Israelites as a God of love, wanting to rescue them from Egypt's clutches just so he can show them who he is. He's even willing to be patient with them after he killed 3,000 of them for worshiping a false god or a false idol that they had no clue that would piss that God off, you know. But all the while, he's supposedly loving these people. He loved them the whole 40 years that they were stuck on a 3-year journey. But it's so funny. I'm being sarcastic, but if you guys can read into it, but out of all this love that he gives, for some people, he doesn't project this love. He projects downright evil. He'll show Paul love and say, "I chose you. I sent the prophet to choose you." But then he'll tell Paul after he chose him to go kill a whole city and kill the women and children, the women who have known a man, and the women who have not known a man. Keep for yourself, but kill the animals and kill everything. Don't let a single thing live. And why? Why would you want me to do this? Because they don't believe in me. But for the Israelites, he was willing to reveal himself. He was willing to send frogs and leeches and salamanders and everything to Egypt in the form of plagues, just so he could free the Israelites. But now he's not willing to do anything to compel these other people to believe in him. He just says murder them, just murder them. So it tells you that, how this book can be. So you can't say you get your morale from the Bible because it's inconsistent. One time something's okay, the next time it isn't. Wouldn't you agree with that, Ricky?
Of course, I tell people just like this. I'm like, when you look at the course of history and the things that have transpired throughout history, just look at the Bible. When the Europeans came over and took the land from the indigenous people, I mean, you don't have any where further to go than to point to the Bible, because that's exemplified in the Bible. you God
Absolutely.
telling His people to look at this group of people. They're savages. They're heathens. Their cultures is vain. It's idolatry. It's evil. It's wicked. Eradicate them. So when you sail across to this new land and you see people who are doing things that's unfamiliar to your culture. They're doing things that seem like it's wicked. They're observing the stars. They're respecting nature. You see what I'm saying? That's
Hmm.
strange to you. So you see them as being less than. You see them as being wicked according to your book. So it's okay in your book for God to tell His people to exterminate these people. So it's also okay if you exterminated these people. So I always tell people like this: you are a part. Would you join the KKK? Would you join the mafia? If the KKK right now said, "Look, we no longer do the things that we used to do. Okay, we're not murderers. We don't try to oppress people. We're not racist. We're doing things for the community now. We're helping people now. If there was a gang, let's just say the Bloods or the Crips. If the Bloods and Crips say, you know what, we don't sell drugs anymore. We don't do criminal things anymore. Now we're for the community. You still wouldn't join those organizations because they
Absolutely.
have a criminal past. As
Hmm.
Christians or whatever religion you subscribe to, if your religion once had a criminal past, you are now joining a criminal organization, and we don't look at it that way.
And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, brother. That was a powerful statement. Dan Sim says it's just like if a shooter is Middle Eastern, they'll bring up the fact that he's Islamic. But if the shooter is white, they'll never mention the fact that it's Christianity. Absolutely. Because again, they don't want you to notice that there's no real connection between having morale and being a Christian. There is no connection of being morale and Christian. Like, come on now. Look at the world. Again, like we talk about, how many pastors or whatever go down all the time and get blown up all the time for molesting children or taking advantage of people sexually due to their ignorance or whatever. And we know so many get away with it. And I'm talking about the few that seem to surface should show you enough that these people's morale don't come from no book. Most of these people never even most Christians, most people who subscribe to being a Christian have never even read the Bible. What do you mean? What do you mean you get your morale from? You can't get your morale from a book you never read. Let's be honest. If you got most of you guys on here as Christians never read the Bible because Christianity don't make you. You don't have to because it's they make it super simple. They don't make it strict so more people can be subscribed to it. Most of us say we were Christian because our parents were, but we ain't never really spent no time reading no Bible. So like again, none of our morale came from the Bible. Just reading over some of you guys' comments. But yeah, so this is why we have to go insane and be willing to speak up, guys, because we don't want to continue seeing people manipulated and pulled way left just because they haven't understood how to research and how to think for themselves yet. So I feel like, man, we should all be more prone to just speaking the truth, not so much just like I said in a negative way, but just like that should be a way to say it. I saw a brother earlier said, the way he would say it is, "Hey man, that's crazy." He's like, I think he said, "I understand exactly where you're coming from. I used to think that way too, until I decided to do a little research." That's not offensive at all. See, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I used to think that way too, but I decided to do a little research, and what I found is that's not a complete way to think. That's one way to think, but there's different perspectives. And that's not offensive at all. There's ways we can say these things and not completely upset the system. But I prefer that than to pretend to go along with it. Let me know if y'all agree with what I'm saying, if you feel like I'm being pushy towards you, or whatever, because it's not that at all. If you don't feel like you want to do it, then by all means don't. I want you to stay within, I don't want to say stay within your comfort zone, but I don't want to push you outside of it to the point to where you're doing something you don't want to do, or that you don't feel that you'll be good at or something like that. But I do feel that in most things you would stand up for yourself, so I feel like why not in this area too? Someone you shouldn't have to feel like you should have to act like you believe in somebody you can't see just so people around you can feel comfortable in the room. No way. If everybody is like, oh, I see that unicorn flying around the room, I see it too, and everybody in the room is saying it, I'm not gonna say I see it too. I'm not doing it. If I don't see it, I'm gonna say I don't see it. And so I would hope that wouldn't offend the person beside me. I don't see it. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So I feel like we should be able to say, I don't see it that way. I get that you have faith, but I don't see or need to have faith. I mean, I know your Bible says that faith is good to have, but I don't believe it is. I don't think that. Again, you know, whenever you grow up in religion, you believe that the Bible is the all in all. So you believe God is perfect because He says He's perfect. But when you think about this, Ricky, how can you be perfect if you're the only thing in existence? There's nothing to measure you to, right? So nobody's ever said that black was perfect because we never measured it. We never seen an imperfect black. So if you're perfect, something has to be imperfect, you know. So how can you say yourself is perfect? How can you say you know everything? It's almost like this. If it's like mankind saying no one created me, I'm above all. Well, God said no one created me, I'm above all. What makes him right? Man think the same thing, and he apparently has a God that creates him. What if someone created God? You see, what if God isn't perfect? And it's one of those things where, well, we got to believe that he's perfect because he attributes himself for being perfect. Well, how can you be perfect if there's not something that's imperfect? If you're the only thing in existence, then there's no such thing as imperfection. There's no such thing as perfection. You understand? The moment you say something is good, you instantly create bad. If I taste food and I say, "Oh, this is good," then what am I comparing it to? Something has to be bad if that's good. So if he says he's perfect, then what was imperfect? Because you are the only thing in existence. Come on, bro. So we don't even think about this kind of stuff. That's why I say freely. We have to freely think, man.
Yeah, I got another one for you. In the book it says a corrupt tree cannot put forth good fruit. So if God is the tree that's good, and it also says a good tree can't put forth corrupt fruit, so how can God create anything evil? How can anything corrupt come from God when He is the tree? You see what I'm saying? So that goes to show you that everything in this book is not true. You see what I'm saying? Because the tree can't be corrupt if it's good.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And again, when you look at what you're calling perfect or non-perfect, it all boils down to perception. And this is why I say a God who deems himself perfect, it's ridiculous. Again, if I were to eat grapefruit, I would say it's nasty. If someone else was to eat grapefruit, they would say it's delicious. So that means that my opinion is going to be biased to my own experience of that grapefruit. When I tasted that grapefruit, I did not like the experience that I got from the grapefruit. I did not like the taste of that grapefruit. And so I've declared it nasty. But again, if you ate it, you like the taste of it. So it doesn't matter if I'm telling the truth at all. It doesn't make it nasty. And here's the thing. I could say, let's just use the terms good and bad. I could say it's bad. But what if that grapefruit gives me more nutrients than the foods that I deem good? Because I'm only judging them based off taste, not off the nutritional value. So there's so many levels to trying to deem something perfect or not. So if I taste something, am I going to deem it good or bad simply by how it tastes or what it does for my body? Because there's many foods that taste good but are bad for your body. There are many foods that taste really bad, meaning like bitter and don't have sweet taste, complementing taste, but they are absolutely good for your body. So it's really hard. So it's impossible because there's no such thing as bad fruit. There's no such thing as good fruit. Period. So again, for any person, and there's no such thing as a good person. No such thing as a bad person. Period. This is what I mean. Now, if you're talking about having physical, depressions, things that that, like, say if you have your lungs are small or something like that, then we can say, according judging you to someone who has larger lungs who can breathe, then you do have a deficiency, which means that your lungs aren't perfect. But let's just say someone comes along and their lungs are larger than everybody's and they can breathe way better than everybody's. Does that now make all of us imperfect and that person's perfect? You see what I'm saying? So it's really hard to try to say something's perfect, meaning I do everything right all the time. Everything that comes from me is perfect all the time. Well, you can't be perfect because everything that came from you isn't perfect. We came from you, right? What are we? You say we filthy rags. If listen, man, here's what I mean. If you take a cookie cutter that's shaped like a star and you put that cookie cutter in dough 1 million times, you're gonna have 1 million stars. You're not gonna have an octagon. That's what I mean by being perfect. If this entity really existed and was perfect, then everything that come from it would be shaped like a star. You see what I'm saying? It would be a star just like it. It wouldn't be imperfect. It wouldn't be something totally different. You know, and so that's why I say we need to we need to rethink the things that we were taught, because honestly they're silly. And so unless we're willing to do that, we're gonna stay stuck in it, man. You're gonna keep driving down that road, and that 20 miles is gonna turn into 50 miles, and before you know it, you already in Vegas before us, looking for Walmart. Mm-hmm.
It's like, and what Kevin is saying is what I've been saying all along. Like, yeah, I don't want anyone to tear up any relationships, but we got to get to the point where it's normal for you not to believe. It's
Mm-hmm.
abnormal when you do believe. Like, it has to get to the point where you're gonna look at someone and be like, "Dude, you still believe in Jesus?" Like, like it's just not a normal thing. You know what I mean? So, and then the more people who are willing to take the stance, the more it's going to become normal, the more it's going to become the norm. And as things become the norm, it becomes more comfortable for others to express how it is that they're really feeling, because we're all having the same thoughts, but it's just the fear is what's keeping us from articulating those thoughts.
Absolutely, I agree. There was something I was going to say here. I was reading someone's comment here, and I was going, yeah, someone says, I'm perfect until you discover my flaws. Thank you for that comment, Nebraska. That is funny, by the way. What if I were to say you're perfect when I discover your flaws? You know, a lot of times we meet people and we put on an interview, especially like on first dates. We interview, we want people to like us. And so we hide all of our flaws. But it's once they get to know that those intricate parts about you that you become even more special to them when they see your flaws. Anybody start telling you their flaws and things that happen detrimental in their life, all of a sudden you start to realize you're actually more connected with them than you thought you were. Wow, I went through that. Oh, wow, I didn't know you. Wow, that's okay. Yeah, you're starting to hear things that people really don't like about themselves and really like to tell about themselves. Just consider like how they making now these old distress tables, where they literally take tools and beat dents in it and scratch them up before they sell them. They're flawed, but they're perfect. They're perfect into what the creator intended them to look like. I want this table to look 50 years old, even though it's brand new today. And I used to sell them, and people buy them. Even now people go buy jeans that's been ripped. And they're flawed. They're intentionally flawed, so they are perfect because it was intentionally flawed. Or whatever. So the things about you in your life, no, you weren't intentionally flawed, but you can turn your flaws into a perfection simply by not giving up, by looking back over your life. Like I can say a flaw in my life was, when I got fired from my job, but 10 years from now, I want to be able to look back and say that was a perfect moment in my life. I'm glad that happened. Look, I would never be where I am today had I not been fired from my job 10 years ago. This is what I wanted to happen. But if I failed that and I quit, I'll look back and say, well, it was me getting fired. That was a downfall of me. And that's kind of how we look at people when we're behind their lives. If they don't come back from something, we tend to say the thing that we saw them that happened to them, the largest thing happening before their downfall was the reason for their downfall. But if they come back from it, we say that was the reason for their success. And many people attribute the reason for their success to the worst things that happened to them. So no, don't worry about it. Your flaws can sometimes be the most beautiful thing about you. Remember, I don't know if you've seen this information, but in China they they use gold to fix glass. Because they want you to understand that even though it's been broken, it's still valuable to me. You see that gold lining now in this glass. It's now made this cup even more valuable. Because it's now lined with gold. But the whole point is the thinking of it. When we have been cracked and we have been broken, we can come back stronger than ever and more valuable than ever if we learn, and grow. So absolutely. What were you about to say, Ricky?
No, I was just gonna add to your point, man. We definitely have to have courage, and some things are gonna happen as a result of us, taking certain stances on certain things, and I've I mean I have a real life example, and I probably shared this before, but I mean I got fired from my job too, like probably like a couple years ago. And what they wanted me to do was they wanted me to dress like a mob character, like a corporate, like this company. I'm not gonna say the name, but it was a
Mm.
it was a Fortune 40 company, well Fortune 50 company, okay, like money, like I'm like, this is a corporate environment. So I was in my department. They asked me to take a mugshot. Okay, they dressed everybody on the team up and made us take mug shots and hang them up in the cubicle. So I'm thinking to myself, and at that time, man, I was on my positivity, didn't want to not be a team player. So reluctantly, I dressed up like a mob character and took a mug shot, like I was a mob character. So we had pictures of Babyface and Al Capone, like all of these realistic mob figures who have murdered people, who have committed crimes, in a corporate environment. So it affected me. So I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I took my mugshot down. I went to my manager. I was like, look, bro. I was like, these are real mob characters. I was like, you know what? First of all, you guys made me take a mugshot. I was like, going to jail is a real thing for me. I was like, my mom, it was in prison when I was like 5 years old. I was like, I got a nephew in prison right now. I was like, I could drive home. A police officer can pull me over, drop something in my car, and I'm in prison. I made all the right decisions in my life, but because someone didn't like me, I'm in prison. I was like, that's real life for me. So I was like, I don't need to come to work looking at mug shots and looking at these mob characters. I was like, if I wanted to put a picture up of Tukey Williams or some, gangster disciple or something like that, I was like, you guys wouldn't allow that. Why would you allow pictures of Al Capone? I was like, this is not movies. These are real life people. So I was like, how did this get past management? So he was like, you know what, Rick, you got a good point. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take the stuff down. I'm gonna change. Our team name was called the Mafia
Mm.
in a corporate environment. Okay,
That's
so
crazy.
it was like 2 weeks. He didn't take it. So you know what, I came to work, man. One day I just wasn't feeling it, Kev. I took all the pictures down myself. You know what I mean? Like I just took them all down, and then like maybe like a week later, they fired me. Like he just took me he just took me aside. He's like, Rick, I need to talk to you down. Look, I'm on the ninth floor, bro. This is a 9-story building. I'm on the ninth floor. He's like, yo, Rick, I need to talk to you downstairs. And I was like, yo, bro, what you need to talk to me downstairs for? I was like, dude, you trying to fire me? Because I'm, man, come on, bro, I'm sharp. You know what I mean? So I'm like, we don't need to talk downstairs unless it's something bad. You know what I mean? So I
Mm.
was like, bro, you trying to fire me? He was like, no. He's like, no, it's cool. So I was like, you know what? Let me go get my stuff. So I went and got my things, and I went downstairs with him. And it was, they had a little HR meeting, and they fired me, bro. They fired me for not being reliable. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, how am I not reliable when I work 10 hours a day? Like, overtime. Like, bro, I used to work like 120 hours. You know what I'm saying? In 2 weeks. So I'm like, how am I
Mm.
not reliable? So I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna stress it. I was gonna sue him though. You know, I got an attorney, but I was like, you know what? The attorney just told me, he's like, look, Rick, they just gonna give you your job back with lost wages. Like, we really can't do that. We really don't have a case here. So I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna spend the energy on it, dude. Man, I went on vacation, bro. Came back, found another job, making more money. You know what I'm saying? So it is some negative things you can, you know, turn into a positive. But man, sometimes, man, you just gotta like take the stand, bro.
Absolutely. Like earlier we were talking about those flaws before Ricky built it on that thought. I want you guys to consider the world we live in now. First, consider the world we lived in let's say 10 years ago. So many of you guys remember what the world looked like 10 years ago. Let's talk about women's butts. A lot of you guys on the phone, y'all booty men, right? Yeah, this be interesting for you guys. If you're a booty man, if you like booties. I don't know why I keep saying booty. Now I can stop. I'm kidding. I can stop. But so if you like booties, you remember years ago, a big butt was not what we call a big butt today, right? So back, Sir Mix-a-Lot, he did a video trying to be funny, like he's going to hyperbole the butt, right? And now if you look at this day and age, women actually will walk around looking like that. And I'm talking about, they did it. Wanda did it on In Living Color, where I'm talking about it was just crazy big. Now back then, a woman's butt didn't have to be that big, and it was still considered sexy and attractive now, right? And so now watch this. Now here's what I want you guys to understand. Genetically,
if you were to go get a fake butt, and now your butt is big, and even though it is considered attractive because of the time frame that we live in, because 5 years from now we can be past this trend, and you still have this big old butt, and you be looking stupid because people will be past that. But right now, it may be considered more attractive, but it would still be a flaw based on the fact that it's not your genetic makeup. It was never intended on your body to be that way, and now there could be health problems that can come later because you've done this. So that's why I'm talking about different things like what we call flaws. You might look at your face and think your nose is a flaw. You may think it's too wide or whatever, but it looks like your mama nose. That's your grandma. That's not a flaw, baby. You perfect. I don't know why you would think that that's a flaw. Your physical features and things like that are not flaws. If you feel like your butt flat, that ain't no flaw. You genetically predisposed to having a flat butt, and that's okay. Okay? I wish I would have been taller. I'm not imperfect. I'm absolutely perfect. My design is that I should have been almost 6 feet tall. That's exactly what it's gonna be. I can love myself, or I can drown myself in depression, and go get some shins added onto my knees or something if I want to be tall. You know, I can go try to get surgery and try to change the way I look if it makes me happy. But please understand that those would now be considered flaws, as you don't look how you supposed to look coming off the assembly line. If you were to open up your genetic code and look at your instruction manual and how you're supposed to look, you would now look different from how you're supposed to look, which would make you flawed. Michael Jackson, during his death, would be totally way more flawed than he was when he was perfect, when he looked like his parents and looked like who he was supposed to look like. You supposed to look like your mama and them. What's wrong with y'all? People be wanting to look like something totally different. You better look at your mom and daddy and better deal with it. You better get over it.
I'm telling
or you gonna spend the rest of your life trying to look like what people tell you to look like. You should be a beautiful smorgasbord of your family, a motif, just a beautiful. The word I'm looking for is so much more eloquent, but I can't find it right now. A collage, even of your family. That's what you should be. You should have your granddaddy's nose, your grandmama's eyes. You should have your mama's lips. You should have your daddy's eyebrows. I don't know. You should have these features from your family members. These ain't flaws. And in most cases, the things that attract you to people are what would be considered their flaws. I don't mean flaw in the sense of the word flaw as in something's wrong. But let's say if we're taking measurements of something, most of what we're attracted to other people is because it stands out and it's beyond what it should be. If someone has big eyes, why do they have big eyes? Because their eyes are large for their face or their features. And I'm attracted to big eyes. I like women with big eyes. I know, and that doesn't mean it's a flaw, but it stands out to me, right? And a lot of us are like that. When someone has a feature that's abnormally large on their on any part of their body, face, butt, whatever you like, these things tend to stand out. Some lips, some of us like large lips. If your lips are large, people right now go get lip injections to make that be a flaw, to make it stand out larger than the rest of it. By measurement, it would be flawed. If I was drawing your face like a anime or whatever, and I would make your eyes too large. This is what I mean by your measurements being off. So yeah, people are attracted to what would really be your flaw. My eyes are very small, and because of that, people are attracted to my eyes. They got my eyelashes are long like a freaking girl's eyelashes. Y'all, I didn't want that crap. Now I wouldn't give it up now because people think it's cute, So I'm gonna keep that. But if I could have traded, I don't want no crap like that. What I want, they don't do nothing for me. But when I was a kid, I hated having long eyelashes because I used to get clowned. You know what I mean? So it's those weird things about yourself that stand out that people are gonna love about you. The weird crap, the flaws, if you will. So it's those flaws that make you, man. You know what I mean? And I hate to take that one statement that she made and get on it, but it's just I just had a lot of thoughts that seemed to be inspired from that statement. So and I know a lot of you guys do feel flawed, so I felt like why not kind of run it into the ground? You know what I mean? Hopefully you guys got something out of it, And I wasn't just talking to hear myself talk, but I believe that we need to look at these words perfection and flaw, because we like magazines have taught us that if you see like women in a magazine, they have stretched their necks, made their bodies adjusted their bodies to try to make them appear perfect, and now you guys are normal organic human beings trying to look like a computer. The model don't even look like the model. The model don't even look like the model, and you trying to look like a computer. And you looking in the mirror think you ugly because you don't look like a computer, though. And that's why I say we got to get past that. You don't have to have the biggest butt. You don't have to have the biggest butt. Like that's not something that you'd have to have. Not if you're dealing with me. That's not I've never been attracted to the overly like just ridiculously big butt. Not that it matters what Kevin Wesley's attracted to. But everybody has different attractions. You know what I mean? Now I do like butts. Don't get me wrong. If you ask me what are you, I'm a butt man. But I don't like all that stuff. I don't like so weird that I don't look like it's yours. You know what I mean? I guess I'm just saying I'm old school, so I grew up in the era where it wasn't like that. Now if you ask someone who's younger than me who hit puberty during the last 5-10 years, they may say I like it humongous. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying these people's attractions or whatever changes with the times. So really your looks are not even consistent. You can be born in one area of time and be considered beautiful, where if you were born in another, you would be ugly. What if I told you guys that there was a time that you could be born in where having a big penis was a turnoff? What if I told you that back in the day that a big penis was considered meant that you were or were perverted in nature? They actually thought that if you actually had a large penis, that you were a lower thinking individual, and if you had a smaller penis, then you were more about virtue. This is why you see a lot of European statues with small penises. It's actually symbolic because it means that these people aspire to be high. Now, if you see people in Europe who have larger penises, these were lower people, like half human, half beast people. The man who was cursed to have an erection and it was kicked over this cliff and was cursed to have an erection and never be able to have kids. You see his statue. He's depicted with a large penis. You see other people who are depicted with a large penis. It's somebody who was. It's when you see the large penis, you're supposed to know that means that he was sexual in nature. Not just look, he had a large penis and just see it as aesthetic, but it meant something, because the thinking at that time was being large in that area wasn't something that was accepted into their culture as meaning something that was to be glorified. It was seen as a lower type of way of thinking, And so now, if you come into this world, of course, it would be considered good to be blessed in that area. So just times change, y'all. So don't base your beauty according to your surroundings. Base your beauty according to what's inside of you. You understand what I'm saying? Because the world can trick you. The world can be one of the biggest lies that you were ever told. I know beautiful people who think they're ugly. So believe me, trust me. In fact, every person that thinks they're ugly, every person that thinks they're ugly is actually beautiful. You know, all if you look exactly how you was designed to look, you are beautiful. You know, you got to be a lower type thinker to be calling people ugly, even if you're not attracted to that person. That's all it means, is that you're just not attracted to them. That when I don't like the taste of grapefruit. That's all it means. It's just that me and grapefruit don't get along in terms of the taste, but it don't mean the grapefruit nasty. So I changed my mind. I'm no longer going to call grapefruit nasty. I'm not going to insult grapefruit because it doesn't appeal to my taste. Someone else may love grapefruit. I now realize that I'm biased. So I would never call a person ugly because that's how I see them. That's not fair. Just say that they're not your cup of tea. You're not attracted to them. That's what I mean. Learn to be kinder with each other and understand that there are no flaws in terms of how you look or whatever, in terms of your genetic makeup. Nah, you're beautiful. You look exactly how you was intended to look like. You look like your mama. Who you supposed to look like? The next door neighbor? That would be a problem.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I mean, like when you talk about terms of if someone else doesn't like you, someone else does. You see what I'm saying? The things that someone may hate about you, someone else loves about you. So I don't think we could ever make somebody because we're humans. Even if you have the most beautiful wife or companion, that person at some point gets old to you. And this is the problem with us and things. It's just like we fight so hard and we work so hard and we're so ambitious to obtain things, whether it be a person or a relationship, and then once we get it, we are not content. A lot of us are not. We're not content, and then we're on to trying to get the next thing. So you have to learn. I think it's important to be content, like you said, with yourself and who you are first, so that when you do get a relationship and when you do achieve your goals or whatever it is that you set out to do in life, at some point you will become content to where your ambition doesn't destroy you and doesn't destroy the relationships around you, because it can have the tendency to do so. But I'm really glad we got off the subject of uh, penises. But yeah, go ahead, man.
Stupid, right? So look, guys, before we let you guys go, I'm gonna talk to you guys a little bit about a man named Cepheus. I don't know if you ever heard of him. And before I even get into it, let me make sure that I am pronouncing his name correctly. I believe his name is Cepheus. So you guys can look this up too. He's the man who's responsible for, or who's attributed for pushing the rock up the hill for all of eternity. Okay. I'm not going to talk about that part of the narrative, him pushing the rock up the hill for all eternity. I'm going to talk about the first part of the narrative that led to that point of why he did it. We all know, I'm not going to say we all know, because a lot of you guys may have not heard this story, but if you read this story, you know that he was cursed to push this rock up a hill for being manipulative and deceptive. Yes, his name is Sisyphus, Sisyphus. His name is Sisyphus. Okay, so I want to tell you a story about Sisyphus. We talked about casting spells last week, right? And being able to convince people of things with some of the spells that you cast. Sisyphus was a great spell caster. He was a liar, y'all. He had the ability to convince. So let me tell you about the first person who was supposed to capture Cepheus. Cepheus was being so bad that they put this dude in a prison, basically in the underworld, in hell, and he was going to be chained by the god of the underworld. When Cepheus saw this god of the underworld, he says to this god, "You are truly a magnificent splendor. I have seen many gods, and none of them take on the image that you take up. You are absolutely beautiful. I'll tell you what, I know I don't stand a chance, so I am not even going to fight. I lay my life down today to you. I take my life. That is okay. But before you do that, please let me give you my bracelets, because these bracelets. Oh, if you put these bracelets on, man, you will be more endowed with beauty than you are even now. These will fit you perfectly. Please put on my necklace. Take my beautiful jewelry, because they'll look better on you. Oh, gracious God. And it pleased him to hear this stuff. This God was tricked into believing that he was everything that Sisyphus said he was. And he put those wristbands on, and they became chains on him that kept him locked up in hell. And all of a sudden, people didn't die anymore because he was also the god of death. And Ares, the god of war, is now bored with war because people don't die no more. And he has to go free this dude hundreds of years later. But this wouldn't have been done if he didn't fall into the spell. How many of you guys have been complimented to the point to where you gave up something from yourself and you realize this person had an agenda the whole time? They casted a spell on you. People think that the people who hate you are going to say stuff that's mean. Listen, man, some people don't like you and they're going to give you nothing but compliments. Most of you guys can say honestly, I have given away more to people who made me think they cared about me, not to my enemies. And so some people can be your enemy and not know they're your enemy. They can be bad for you moving forward and not know that they're an enemy of your future. You need to recognize that. Thank you very much, Charles McCullough. Actions speak louder than words. You need to recognize if they're an enemy. I don't mean they hate you. I mean they're an enemy to you moving forward in your future. Many of us as children, we just went off and got friends that made us happy, that complimented us, that made us feel good, that told us all the things we wanted to hear. But they wasn't going nowhere in life. They were just funny. They were just charismatic. But they had no type of thought about building business, about, moving forward. They didn't even know how. And so these were the people that were your immediate circle. And then when you realized your life was the same as theirs, it was like too late. What if we had learned to build friends with people who were moving forward, not just people who made us feel good, who tickled our fancies? We got to be willing to be moved. That's why I want to do these events. It's not always about linking up with somebody who make you feel good, y'all. A lot of y'all might say, well, I don't really like his energy, but that person can teach you a lot. Stop being that way. I got bad vibes with him. Like, listen, man, take the time to get to know someone first. Sometimes you can be off a little bit. Sometimes that bad vibe is just an unattraction for that person, a romantic unattraction. Maybe that's not why you met him. Maybe you can learn business with this person. Maybe you can grow with this person in some kind of way. But don't be that person who is blinded by compliments and who's able to be locked down due to being complimented into some chains. You understand what I'm saying? Just consider that story. Sisyphus said, "You are a sight to behold. I have seen many gods, and none of them bestow the image that you do. It is clear that you are beyond them." Man, if you wore these chains, you would look even more beautiful. And convince this man to put those chains on. And he beat him. He climbed out of hell and kept on doing what he was doing. See what I'm saying? So just because somebody makes you feel good doesn't mean they're taking you to the right place. I wanted to give you guys that thought because so many of us, we stay around the people that make us happy. And that's not always wise. Sometimes you got to be around people that make you feel challenged. You know what I mean? That they don't always have to say everything that you want to hear, meaning that to show you that they love you, that they're right for your life. And a lot of us, we want to step away from anyone who says anything that we deem negative or deem as negative energy, when you should listen to what they are saying. So it's like, say for me, if I decide to release my album in December and Ricky said, "Hey man, I've done some research that's absolute worst time to release your album. You should do it in a couple months after. That's the best time to do it." See, wintertime, Christmas time, that's Christmas time, man. They're not really thinking about no CDs. So, and what if I said, "Ricky, I ain't having that negative energy"? What you talking about? He wasn't negative. He just didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. He told me the truth. He told me an objective truth. So I'm not going to say he's being negative. I'm going to say, okay, thank you for that, Ricky. I'm going to look into that myself. Can you send me a link? Can you send me some information, some paperwork I can read that can help give me the same information so I can see when the best time is to release my album? So now Ricky has actually been a friend to my future, not an enemy to my future. But if Ricky just say, "Hey, that sounds good, Kevin, post it, go ahead and make it public in December," without doing any research, that isn't wise either. And Ricky told me sounded good, so I ran off and did it. And when it didn't work, it's like, well, dang. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, just understand that people who may not say it. I'm not talking about people who are always insulting you now and never got nothing nice to say. That's totally different. I'm saying people who are willing to give you constructive criticism with actually breaking down why they're saying it. I cannot stand when people try to tell you that something ain't right or something isn't good enough and they can't tell you how to make it better. Keep your mouth shut. You don't know how to make it better, leave me alone.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Carly just put in the group, guys. Everybody that's interested, join. Add her, so because she'll actually be helping and giving information on how to do it too. Also, but remember, join Kevin Wesley group, everything too. What was you about to say, Ricky?
No, I was just gonna say, man, if you're gonna identify a problem, while you're thinking about the problem, go ahead and think about a possible, solution. So
Absolutely. And again, I think these things right here, Ricky, are what were denied us. We were given, we were put in school, and if you took a class on building things, they just showed you how to build it. Just imagine, instead of just giving me an introduction on how to build a bat, how about show me the bat and have me figure out how to make it, so that way I can freely think and try to put my own processes in line. This will help me develop my own mental ability. But if you just say, here's how you make a bat, then you're telling me how every other man has done it. But if you make me make the bat myself, I may figure out a better way to do it. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like, here's the path, walk down it. No, create your own path. Go north, and so let me pick what pick. I know the direction to go, but let me pick my own path now. You see what I'm saying? But don't say follow this path, because I'm only going to see what the person who made this path saw. Humanity won't go further like that. I need to be challenged. Let me make my own path. You know.
look, if you look at the story of the two fish and the five loaves, I'm like, I'm not gonna feed you. Like I'm if you want to look at that story in another from another perspective, and again, people always talking about teaching someone how to fish as opposed to just giving them the fish. I'm gonna teach you how to fish. Now, there's gonna be some points in time where you may, your fishing pole might have broken, or there's gonna be a circumstance where I may need to give you a fish, or I may need to give you a loaf of bread. But I'm gonna make sure you know how to fish, and I'm gonna teach you how to fish as opposed to just feeding you. So even in that story with Jesus, feeding the multitudes, like, why didn't he? Okay, what happens after they fed and then he leaves? What happens?
Absolutely.
They got to fend for themselves with no resources, with no way of being able to continually sustain themselves. Is that fish gonna sustain them the rest of their life? Or you're just
Mm-hmm.
gonna feed them this one time and then leave, and now they're gonna be hungry, a few hours later.
Absolutely. And even in that statement that you just made, brother, this is what when I say think outside of the paradigm, being free to think. When you think of this proverb, that's actually Indian proverb, not actually a biblical proverb. A lot of people think that that's actually scriptural, as far as giving a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, and teaching a man to fish he'll eat for a lifetime. But that's actually not. It's actually a old proverb, not in the Bible at all. But even considering that proverb, who's to say we can't think outside of that proverb? If you give a man a fish, he'll only eat for a day. What does that mean? That you cripple this man. You have now given him the fish. So now he doesn't know how to fish. So what is he going to do now? He's still lost. So just giving him food isn't helping him, right? It's not helping him long term. But if I teach a man to fish, he will never go hungry, is what it says, right? Meaning he'll know how to fish and be able to get out and get his own fish. Well, let's challenge that. What if I provide seed? Would you still fish? Think about that. If I provide you seed, now you can be vegan and be even healthier, and you never have to fish again. And this food will keep yielding back to you again, and you never have to create bait to catch your food ever again. You simply just have to go pluck it, and now you can eat. So I want to provide you seed, and so you don't even have to worry about fishing. I actually got that in one of my songs. If I provide the seed, would you still fish? Just think about that. Would you still go dig and eat and possibly consume mercury and things that could actually contaminate your internal system if I actually provide you a better, overall better way of eating? And so Jesus, who knew everything, instead of giving people a bunch of fish, he could have provided seed. You see what I'm saying? He already had the bread right there. What do bread come from? Wheat. What do wheat come from? Seeds. Why they even eating fish? He couldn't have just breaking bread. Why did he have to give fish? Isn't bread enough? I thought bread was enough. Absolutely. And that's why I mean, like, if we really go into a lot of these things that seem profound, it's like it's really not that profound, because a man who really understood, who was a God, would understand your whole anatomy and say you don't need to be fishing no way. See what I'm saying?
And then another point with that, the bread is gonna last longer than the fish, because after a day or two, the fish gonna go bad. You got to eat the fish right away, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again,
the seeds, they keep on giving. You plant them, they grow a harvest, and then you process the wheat. You making more bread, right? Bread expands. We know that. It takes you eat less bread than any other food to get full. So they would have been sustained, and there's a lot of energy that goes into good bread, good wheat, good grain. You know what I mean? And so we still out here trying to catch fish that could be possibly containing mercury and different things that don't fit with our bodies. But instead, he'd rather give us that. He'd rather give us a bunch of fish, which is really, you was it. I mean, was it GMO? Because he it was only two fish, and they say he broke one, and then they grew a tail. The head grew a tail. Was it GMO? Are these real fish? That wasn't no Whole Foods type of fish, man. That was tilapia. Ah, that was that factory fish. That was no, but I mean, it had to be tilapia, man. Tilapia is man-made. It's factory fish. You know what I mean? It wasn't no salmon. There wasn't no salmon he was out there giving. Not no two salmon. That was tilapia, bro. And guys, I said it as a joke. I joke with the myth, guys. Forgive me. I mean no harm. But no, family, listen. We know that it's time to really take a look into the things that we've adopted as our own. These things are not our own thoughts, and there can be better thoughts put out there. Don't get me wrong, the Bible does have some powerful scriptures, but it's not because they're in the Bible. It's because rather the Bible stole them or whatever, because they were already powerful. But granted, that is a positive scripture. Jesus feeding the multitude. At least he fed people who were starving. At least he did. But hey, I'm just saying, from a God perspective, he would have known that there was a better way to do this. Even now, we can put our funds together and go help the homeless. But if there was a God that knew everything, they would be able to show us a better way of doing it, right? And that's all I'm saying. You would expect more from a God. If Jesus was just a good man and nobody called him God, we would be marveling at the things that he did that long ago. In a world where people were selfish and chaotic, he fed a multitude. What if he went and fished all the fish out of the ocean himself and it wasn't a miracle? That would be even cooler. That he went and got all the fish just to make sure everybody was fed. If he really did heal the blind man, not by giving him real eyesight, but taking a person who couldn't see a perspective and then opening his eyes to a perspective, that actually is more of a miracle than healing a blind man. I'm telling you right now, it is very hard to get someone to see a new way of thinking. It is almost as if they're really blind. It takes a person who really has some kind of miracle about them to be able to wake people up out of their paradigm. You have to be able to speak in code and use different examples to be able to get people to see where you're coming from, because you can't just teach them this straight because it disagrees with their paradigm. So you have to be able to say things that really allow them to be able to learn it and give them the ability to replace their paradigm. People often say, Kevin, man, you got away with words. You speak very well. I have to be able to. I'd have to be able to express myself in a way that's great, so listeners can understand what I'm trying to say. Because it does have to be expressed in a clear way. You know, if some things, if you can't express them very very clearly, it confuses people. You know what I'm saying? So you do have to be gifted. If Jesus was responsible for doing things like that, no one would question Jesus. It's just that Jesus was supposed to be God, and to a God, the stuff Jesus did is really stupid. You see what I'm saying? It's like you walked on water. That's stupid. Like people was being enslaved at that moment, and you decided to prove to four dudes you can walk on some water. That sounds like some human crap. Like, you see what I'm saying? And so it's cool if it's human because you can only be in one place at one time. I can't free slaves right now. I can't set slaves free right. I don't have any power. Right now, sex trafficking is the largest business on the face of the planet, and I'm completely hopeless in that fact. I'm not a god. And right now, I'm sitting here talking to a bunch of people online. If I was God and people was enslaving people, and I was talking to people online, y'all can judge me right now. You do understand that, right? You like, why are you talking to people on Facebook and you can be out here healing people? You got all the powers in the world, but you want to ramble your mouth to a bunch of people on the Truth Factory. You see? But I am human, so that means there's less accepted of me because I can only be in one place. So if I was walking on water trying to compel people who's around me, that's different. I don't have the ability to be everywhere at the same time. Jesus did. And so for a God who has the power to walk on water and the power to raise people from the dead, to choose to walk on water instead of raise people from the dead, because you know you can do it later. His name was Lazarus. That's a big problem. You have to ask yourself about that. His best friend was dying, somebody he was raised with, and he let him die. You see, and not to mention that many people were suffering at that time. If he had existed during that time, slavery existed, guys. And so this is what I mean. It's not to judge Jesus. It's to say that if he was the Son of God, he could have been doing more. And that's a fact. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. If he was truly a God, he wouldn't have came and picked up disciples. Why would he need disciples if he's truly God? Just come and do what you got to do.
He has to go through the entire process that every other human being went through. And I mean, the entire plan, if you are God, just doesn't make sense.
Right.
I mean, from Genesis to Revelation, it just don't make sense for that to be God's plan, you know?
If you're a God, nothing's impossible for you. So there would be no need to pick disciples, as everyone would be your disciples, as everyone could learn from you, because you can teach anyone. You're God. No one is exempt from learning from you because you're perfect. That means your teaching is perfect. That means that no one in the classroom would have missed your story, missed your lesson, missed your teaching, because you're the perfect teacher. So everyone would be your disciples. You're gonna pick 12 people who really get what you're saying, huh? So they can teach the message too. You're a God. You can be everywhere at the same time. You don't need a team of people doing it. And why'd you stop at 12? You see what I'm saying? Why stop at 12? Why not have 14 disciples? Why stop at 12? It seems like it's an allegory. 12 months in a year. You see what I'm saying? 12. Horus had 12 disciples. Disciples, D-I-S-C, disc. Look behind their heads. There's sun discs behind their head. It's more so that it's a motif or an allegory, something to teach you something else higher. It looks that way. So no God in the actual realm of reality would have done those things, because the reason that Jesus did the things he did was because they were motif. He had to do those things in order to tell the motif. Like the reason that Goldilocks lies on the baby bear's bed is because it's in the narrative that he has to. There has to be something that's just right, so it's in the narrative. So the writer of Goldilocks has to make that happen. The writer of the Bible, if you're going to copy astrology and going to make it esoteric, the character has to follow esoteric laws. So Jesus wasn't just out there being stupid, as Jesus wasn't a literal character. He was a literary character. So what he was doing was in line with the stars. You understand what I'm saying? So it may sound crazy that God killed 3,000 people for worshiping a golden calf, but it doesn't sound crazy if you know that story is only told to let you know we're leaving the age of Taurus. So we're going to make God symbolically getting angry for people still believing that it's the age of Taurus. Now, so we make this story so you can see what we're doing, the ages. That makes more sense. In that case, God isn't evil. You see, but what happens when you have to understand the Bible literally, then God has to be evil and he has to be good if you're going to apply the correct ownership to the things and the actions that he displayed. You know, I'm going to send Jonah. I'm going to do everything in my power. I'll even have a whale or a big fish swallow Jonah and regurgitate him back on land to set Nineveh free. But I won't do that at all for the Amorites. I'm just going to have them killed. I'm not going to do that at all for the Hittites. I'm just going to have all of them killed. It's very inconsistent. You see what I'm saying? So we have to understand that this stuff is just a story. There's no need to be angry at the literature. There's no need to be upset at it. It's just a story. It never happened. You know, we're not upset. You know, at the little girl who Little Red Riding Hood, because she gets ate by the wolf. You see what I'm saying? We're not upset at her because that seems evil in nature. Jack and Jill fell down the hill and he broke their crown. Dang, what that mean? He never walked again? Like, what happened to these people? You know, one dude jumped over a candlestick and burnt his butt. You know what I mean? All these stories that we heard as children, Humpty Dumpty fell off a wall and couldn't be put back together again. We're not mad at these stories. We know that they have to be told for a reason. So there's no need to be mad at the Bible. There's no need to be mad that God cursed Adam and Eve to have periods and now die and have to work to have food come up. It's not a real story. So we don't have to feel anger towards why would God do such a thing. It's not a real story. So we don't have to be like, why would that wolf dress up like a grandma. Like, that's stupid. Like, it didn't really happen. But if you're telling me that a wolf really dressed up like a grandma and talked, I'm gonna have a problem with that whole story. See, the story's about Goldilocks and how, I mean, not Goldilocks, but Little Red Riding Hood, and how perceptive she was, and seeing that this dude, that this wasn't her grandma. She looked at the signs. She didn't settle for you being dressed in the outfit of my grandmother just because you try to put yourself in the image of someone that I care about. She looked at this person and realized that the story's told for that reason. But if you try to say it was true, I don't care why the story is told. I'm telling you that crap never happened, man. Humpty Dumpty never sat on no dang wall. And that's what's going to happen, because I have to go insane. If you really believe Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, then I have to be able to tell you that he isn't. Now watch this. As easy as I can tell you Humpty Dumpty never sat on the wall, because no eggs really live. Like, it was an egg. You believe this dude existed? As easy as I can say that, I can tell you Jesus didn't exist just that easily. But for a lot of people, it's not that easy to say Jesus didn't exist as it is to say Humpty Dumpty didn't exist. And they both have the same amount of proof in reality. This is what I mean by how they have usurped our freedom, our mental freedom, because they make us feel bad for being honest and make us feel insane, really, for being sane. Humpty Dumpty didn't exist, nor Jesus. You should be able to say those in the same breath and it'd be okay. I challenge every one of y'all to put two fake people in the same sentence, one of them being Jesus, and just see how your people take it on your page. If you're okay to do something like that, say Donald Duck didn't exist, and neither did Jesus. Say Goofy didn't exist, and neither did Jesus. Say Duke Nukem didn't exist, and neither did Jesus.
Yeah, man. That should be an everyday post, man. Just like you said with that Goldilocks story, like, she asked like common sense and objective questions in order to get to the truth. She was like, "You don't look like my grandma. Like, you hairy, your teeth. You know what I'm saying?" She started asking questions. So it's just like us. We see all of these things that take place, and we just ignore all the facts. Goldilocks didn't ignore all of the facts. She came to the conclusion that wolf wasn't her grandmother. So you got to come to the conclusion that this thing is not real. You think a God is going to let people come into churches and blow people's brains out? He can't protect you in church. He can't protect you while you're praying. He can't protect you while you're worshiping. He can't protect you when you're innocent. He just can't protect you at all. Just like that wolf was in the bed with Goldilocks, and she knew that wasn't her grandmother. You know that this God is not real.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, again, if I was going to challenge the story, and you said Goldilocks, and it sounds funny. Obviously, I said Goldilocks too, but Little Red Riding Hood, of course. But but listen, now look, let's just say Ricky is arguing here that, and somebody said Duke Nukem did exist. I hear you, brother. My bad. My bad. Duke Nukem and Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater. They did exist, but Jesus didn't. But again, if Ricky is going to sit here and argue with me that Little Red Riding Hood did exist and she was intelligent for asking this wolf about how large his teeth was, or how big his eyes was, and how long his nose was, how big his ears was, that Goldilocks was intelligent, because he's telling me Goldilocks existed, I'm going to show him how unintelligent she was. Now, Goldilocks is intelligent because we're looking at it as a story. Not Goldilocks, I'm saying it again, but Little Red Riding Hood. She's intelligent, but she's really not. If you saw a wolf dress up like your grandma, would you talk to it, or would you just run? Goldilocks, Little Red Riding Hood isn't that smart. You see what I'm saying? Why are you asking a wolf about his? That's a dang wolf. If a wolf put a bonnet on, are you going to believe it's a person? Ricky, she didn't exist, and if she did, she's not as smart as you're giving her credit for.
There you go. See, that's what I'm saying. You just put another perspective on it. I didn't even think about. You see what I'm saying? Like all you gotta do is start thinking about these things, man, and they just unravel.
Completely, and that's what I'm saying. That's what a preacher would have done with the Bible. They would have preached a message and say it was about Little Red Riding Hood. Their conclusion would have been that Little Red Riding Hood was focused, and that she was intelligent enough to ask questions to qualify this wolf before she deemed it her grandmother. And nobody would have challenged that. They would have said that was a wise decision. It's just like in the Bible where the wisest man in the world saw two women fighting over one child. One woman declaring that this was her child. Another woman declaring it was her actual child. And this man says, cut them in half. And both of y'all take a half with y'all. The one who was the real mother said, don't cut my baby in half. She can just have the baby. Because I'm not about to watch my baby get cut in half. And now all of a sudden, the wise man is intelligent. Because that's how you find, there was no other way to find out. There's no other way to find out who baby that is. Is that what you're telling me? You can't tell the other lady if the lady just had a baby or not. Call the doctor in the room. Let's check the cervix because this is a newborn baby. We can find out who. He did not have to do that. And what if the lady would have been willing to cut the baby in half? That's not intelligent. It just happened to work out. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't work out. It was just a story. But we've been taught this story of Solomon doing this in the Bible and thinking that he was the most wisest person in the world because he decided to come up with that process of determining who was the father. Maury's done better than that. He just looked at a piece of paper. Nobody gets injured. The child is not subject to being cut in half.
Would you take your child on the Samson show, on the Solomon show?
He has God's ear too, Kev. You see what I'm saying? Like with God's help, he could have determined, who the child was. I mean, who was the mother of the child?
Dude, he's the wisest man in the world. He could have developed a DNA test back then. For all we know, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Would you take your child on the Solomon show to determine who your child is? He'll cut him in half. Oh man, go home with half a child, man. Messing with Solomon on the Maury show or junk. It is determined you are half the foul crowd.
Hey, now you got to decide who get the top half and who get the bottom half. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now they're gonna split them left and right, you know.
Look again, a different perspective. So you gonna split them down the middle, or you gonna split them in half?
Right, absolutely. You see, I'd rather them have both eyes and both feet than one eye and one leg. You know what I mean? Listen, man. Again, so the story is like Solomon and making that decision to cut the baby in half. That may seem intelligent, but listen, guys, really think about this. That's not that bright. Even without a DNA test, there would have had to been a better way back then. Like I said, to determine who the parent of that child was. You're talking about women and the baby was just born. He could have simply called a doctor in the room and checked the cervix. He didn't have to say cut the baby in half. Come on, that is stupid. He could have checked with the lady's friends and family and asked who remembers her recently being pregnant. He could have got with witnesses and all to try to determine who the father of this baby was. Why would he risk cutting a baby in half? But it wasn't evil, and it's not stupid, as it's just a story. Donovan said, no, Solomon was just wise in his decision. Was he wise when he started messing around with them young girls who got them worshiping them false gods, Donovan? Was he then? I felt like Black Dynamite. You remember on Black Dynamite where he said, don't worry about the night, sweet baby, because he said, don't worry about tomorrow, sweet baby, because tonight, and this girl butted in and said, Dynamite's gonna make everything all right. And he got mad at her. He said, shut up, Keisha, I know it was you. You keep running your mouth, I'm gonna take you back down to where they got them hot coat hangers. You want that, huh? Because see, he was putting his Mac game down. You know what I'm saying? He was rhyming with it. He was telling her, thing gonna be all right, baby. Don't worry. He said, don't worry about tomorrow, baby, because tonight. And she just interrupted. So it was proven at that moment that Dynamite said that often. And he didn't like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, she stole his line, man. That's so, I don't know if you ever saw Black Dynamite, but that's the funniest scene in it, period. But no, Donovan, if that decision was wise, you're saying, but was it wise whenever he disregarded the advice of everyone who wasn't as wise as him and ended up worshiping false gods? The people who weren't as wise as him told him not to deal with those women. He disregarded the people who were not as wise as him and ended up looking stupid. The people who weren't wise were right. What decision was it, Donovan? Answer the question. You said he was wise when he did that. Was he wise when he worshiped false gods? But he's the wisest man in the world. So if are we talking about it just like we're talking about Little Red Riding Hood? I wouldn't even mess with Solomon if you didn't believe it was real. But now we're going to talk about how dumb Solomon is. See, just like we can talk about how dumb Little Red Riding Hood was for talking to a freaking wolf. You know, we can talk about how Goldilocks really is an intruder. She shouldn't be breaking into nobody's freaking house. You see what I'm saying? This was just right. Ain't no story to be told. She need to be locked up. There's no motif in Goldilocks other than she broke in somebody's house and stole their stuff and seemingly got away with it. You know what I mean? Them bears came home like, dang, what the heck happened? Absolutely. And if them bears would have ate her, man, the humans would have showed up and messed them bears up. You see what I'm saying? Let's be real. So let's be technical, and I don't guess Donovan gonna answer the question. I guess that was a good decision when Solomon went and worship false gods too. So I mean, that's what I mean. Oh, you got to read the Bible, Donovan. He said false god. What false god? Solomon actually went and dated these young girls, married these young girls, and they got him worshiping false gods. God got upset with him and was going to take his kingdom. And then Solomon sacrificed 100,000 animals to God, and God forgave him for worshiping false gods. So the wisest decision he ever made was sacrificing a thousand animals, I guess. Was it 100,000 or 1,000? I think it may have been 1,000. It's 100. Yeah, you're right. 144,000. You're actually right. Yep, 12 times 12, because it's, of course, he didn't really do that. It wasn't really stupid, or he would have burned 144,000. It's just because it's 12 times 12, a multiple of 12. 12 disciples, 12 times 12 equals 121 and 44. 144 go to heaven, according to some believers. And so this right here is an allegory, just to show you that number 44, because the Bible is mixed with numerology as well. But if you don't know that and you think it's true, then Solomon burned 144,000 animals to be forgiven for worshiping false gods. And God actually forgave him for it. How crazy is that? Burn 144,000 animals and I will forgive you? Come on, man. That means you're sorry because you killed animals? So again, when you believe the stories actually happened, then now they stand to be questioned. As if, is he really wise? Is Jesus really perfect? Is God really perfect? If you're going to say it really happened, then I'm going to put it to the test. It's time for the third degree. It's time to get tested. It's time to get put under the radar, you know. And that's what a free mind should do. If somebody tell you something is some way, you should be willing to to test that. It's okay. If I write a story and say it's fiction, it's okay to just read the story and read it. But if I say it's a fact, and all of a sudden you start seeing me say that people got their head blown off and they grew back, you better start questioning that crap. Don't be like, oh, well, he said it's fact, so it must be fact. They don't mean that.
What was you gonna say, Ricky? No, I was gonna say, somebody in the chat said Solomon chose not to use his wisdom. Like, what good is having it if you ain't gonna use it? And what good is giving it to someone if you're not gonna use it? You see what I'm saying? And you're not gonna use it in the most important moment. Like even the moment where he chose not to exercise his wisdom, according to this book, was even more important. It was more important than him exercising the wisdom to be able to, I guess, play on those two women's conscience about their child. You talking about disobeying your God, which is supposed to be the most important thing that you can do, is be obedient to your God. So in the time that he was supposed to be obedient, he didn't exercise his wisdom and ultimately ended up turning against his God. That's not wise at all.
Absolutely.
So I don't care how you spin it, it's just not wise. And then also to press on that 144,000, 4 plus 4 is 8 plus 1 equals 9. You burning, you're sacrificing 144,000 animals to go into your higher level of consciousness. So it could just, the number 9 is a conscious number. So again, it's just numerology.
Absolutely. And again, guys, when you're looking at these different nursery rhymes, what I call little motifs, little myths, because they're stories that are told and accepted even though they're not true. Call them little myths, little motifs because they have meaning, just like the Bible is a big motif, big myth. But these are shorter stories, you know. They're everywhere, man. And so that's why I say we have to be willing to look at these things and, you know, just really think about them carefully and say, are they really what we were taught that they were? You know, just be smarter about it. Because, you know, we grew up adopting these type of stories, these different type of nursery rhymes and different stories, you know, like it was okay. I'm gonna give you an example. There was a woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children she didn't know what to do, right? She gave them some food without any bread, and she whipped them all together and sent them all to bed. Now, there was a woman who lived in a shoe. There was nowhere else to live. You had to live in a shoe. How you get all them kids? Where their daddies at? She had so many children she didn't know. You didn't know what to do. Why didn't you stop ahead of time? It didn't even say that the children were being bad. She said she gave them some porridge without any bread, so she's gonna starve them. What's your problem, lady? Then she whips them all together and sends them to bed. You an abusive parent. What the heck wrong with you? It didn't even say these kids was being bad. It just said she had so many children she didn't know what to do. So now you so stressed out that you got children that you beating on them and denying them nutrition. That's what that story really saying. And how many times did we repeat that crap?
Yeah, bro, you just killed it, man. It just goes to show, man, when you think about things, bro, you just like tear it apart.
Right, when you really apply thought to it, you see that it's not told for you to think about. Because if you think about it,
you're gonna see how stupid it is. You know? And if you think about it, man, it's crazy because like the Bible, most nursery rhymes end horrifically. Bible has one of the saddest, horrific endings ever when it comes to the life of Jesus and how he was being treated. You know, but hey, like I said, Jack and Jill broke their crown and tumbled down the hill for what reason? You know, he never got his wits about himself again. Humpty was never healed. That when Jack B. Nimble jumped over the candlestick, he burnt his balls. I mean, dang. You know, the spider that went up the water spout got washed out. You know what I mean? Does any of them end positively? Is there a positive? So we tell our children, we rocking them to sleep, telling them horrific stories. Think about this, because we haven't thought about the nature of the stories we telling. I don't think that there's any positive nursery rhyme. I'm going out on a limb, but everyone that I can recall in my head right now is horrible in nature. Yeah, Ring Around the Rosie, absolutely. We all fall down. Why do we all fall down? Why? Let me look up some examples of nursery rhymes and just see, man, if I could see one really quickly that is considered positive. You know, like that we grew up with, man. Like things are all negative from what I saw, and we repeat them to our children just like we repeat these Bible stories. I think I may have found a serious link here because I remember, you know, I remember the people who I grew up with telling these stories to me, and I didn't see the evil in them. Just like when I heard these stories in the Bible, I didn't see the evil in them because I really wasn't listening. You see what I'm saying? I was just repeating the crap, you know. Hush, little baby. I guess you could say that's a positive one. Trying to think it through. I don't guess I know that song all the way through, but I don't think there's anything negative on that one except you just trying to tell the baby to hush when the baby trying to communicate to you that he's hungry, probably need milk, probably wet, probably got a headache, stomach ache, but you just telling them to hush and promising to buy him stuff, and the baby talking and crying is their way to communicate. So yeah, it would be evil in nature, but the story in itself wouldn't be evil. But to tell a baby to hush, that is pretty stupid because the baby don't understand you saying hush, right? A baby doesn't communicate the word hush, doesn't understand that word hush. So you talking to a baby saying hush is utterly ridiculous. Knowing that baby is only talking to you to get you to understand something, and you can't understand him. And your best thing to say is hush, you selfish parent. Listen to your baby and understand your baby, right? And I'm only doing this because I'm trying to find something wrong. But I'm just saying it's easy to do. Rockabye Baby, I don't remember that song either, but I know that on New Jack City it wasn't good.
Hey, Kev, Tim just brought up a good point. He said Mum-Ra from Thundercats is not real. Actually, like probably like a few years ago, Tim, I went and watched the Thundercats again, like not the whole thing because there's too many episodes, but that Mum-Ra character, again, it paints Egypt and the mummies and the pyramids in a negative light to teach you that these things are evil. But just like if you just look at that character, he calls on the ancient spirits, and these are considered to be evil things. But now it's to keep you out of Egypt. It's just like the Bible paints a negative picture of Egypt. You know, like the Egyptians were bad and they enslaved the Hebrews. Like all of these negative things about Egypt, and then but when you go to Egypt for real and you study it, you find out that it wasn't evil at all. You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I do. Someone said, "Why was the baby in the tree?" Absolutely. Here's one here: a tisket, a tasket, a green yellow basket. I wrote a letter to my love, and I dropped it. And on the way, I dropped it. I dropped it. I dropped it. And on the way, I dropped it. And a little boy picked it up and put it in his pocket. What the heck is that? You wrote a letter to somebody you love, you dropped it, and someone else picked it up and put it in their pocket. What's the point of this? Why are you singing that to your kid? Like, you know what I mean? What is that about? To me, dude, I'm gonna tell you something. That would actually cause me to feel aggravation, because I hate for stuff like that to happen. Oh, so the person didn't really get the letter. He dropped the crap. I have dreams that I can't find stuff. It bothers me, or I drop something. Or I have the right words to say, but I can't get my mouth to move. These things cause me to feel frustration. So if I'm a little baby and I'm getting sung that song, I'm probably gonna have a nightmare. Like, I don't want to hear no crap like that. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna try to see if I can give you guys a couple more examples, because again, it's just funny. Just this subject alone is just funny because we've been taught that this stuff is okay, and it isn't. You know what I'm saying? We completely repeat this stuff to our children. There was a man so wise, he jumped into a bramble bush and scratched out both his eyes. And when he saw his eyes were out and reason to complain, he jumped into a quickset hedge and scratched them in again. What? Old Father Longlegs can't say his prayers. Take him by the left leg and throw him down the stairs. And when he's at the bottom, before he long has lain, take him by the right leg and throw him up again. What the world? There was an old woman. Her name was Peg. Her head was of wood, and she wore a cork leg. Her neighbors all pitched her in the water. Her leg was drowned first, and her head followed after. Wow! Are y'all hearing this stuff? These are nursery rhymes, y'all.
Hey, messing up your kid from birth. Your kid don't have a chance listening to that.
Listen at this one. Die, pussy, die. Shut your little eye. When you wake, find the cake. Die, pussy, die. What? Who wrote that? Tupac? What the heck, yo? Nah, Tupac's would have had more power in it. It actually been more moving. I should have said Tupac. And yeah, we got to find somebody terrible real quick.
Lil Pump wrote that, bro.
Yeah, Lil Pump wrote it. All right. Look, I married my wife on Sunday. She began to scold on Monday. Bad was she on Tuesday. Meddling was she on Wednesday. Worse was she on Thursday. Dead was she on Friday. Glad was I on Saturday night to burn my wife on Sunday. What the heck? Who wrote that? Like, you know what I mean? OJ?
Bro, you need to make your own video, your reaction to nursery rhymes, bro. That'd be funny.
Look, a long-tailed pig, or a short-tailed pig, or a pig without any tail, a sow-tailed pig, or a bored pig. No, I'm sorry, a sow pig or a bored pig, or a pig with a curly tail. Take hold of his tail and eat it, and eat off his head, and then you will be sure the pig hog is dead. What in the world? Man, that's just nuts. These are now, a lot of us never heard these stories, but these were popular stories told once, filled with domestic violence, murder. Like, what in the world? And so, why are these okay to tell to your child, your little babies, y'all? The same reason these evil scriptures are okay to be uh to be read to your babies. You let your pastor stand up and read all these horrific stories to your child and scare the crap out of them. The same way you let you read these nursery rhymes. Just think about that, y'all. That was deep. That was deep. People are willing to tell their children these stories, man.
Tell you, my grandmother was she was scared to death to even read Revelations, bro. I read Revelations, man, when I was probably like 6 or 7. Like my grandmother wouldn't even read Revelations, man. She was so afraid, and I was like, I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. And so was I. I was scared to read Revelations before I read it. You know what I mean? Before I understood, man, wait a second, stuff ain't. It might not be something to this, you know. But it definitely you get scared of reading because everybody tell you should be scared of reading it, and you can't understand it. And you know that's fear and lack of understanding. We've as humans have always been that way. Our fears have always caused us to come up with ideas that made us feel comfortable. Always. Most of our ideas of gods and invisible helpers came in times of fear. You know, and that's just how we are. So we have to learn how to deal with fear better than what we deal with it too, because we don't want to be creating crutches for ourselves. We all know Jack and Jill went up a hill to fetch a pail of water, and Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. So that's another sad ending. We know Humpty Dumpty, rockabye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall, and down will come baby, cradle and all. And that song actually has a pretty little tune to it, and people sing that often to their child. So what is your child going to dream of falling now? Right? And like someone typed in earlier, why would your baby even be in a tree? Right? These are ones that I think are more common to us. You know, there was an old woman that lived in a shoe. Of course, I told you guys that one. That one's up there too. Goosey goosey gander, where shall I wander? Upstairs, downstairs, in my lady's chamber. There I met an old man who wouldn't say his prayers. I took him by the leg and threw him down the stairs. See that? Threw him down the stairs because he wouldn't say his prayers. What in the world? Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. He put her in a pumpkin shell, and there he kept her very well. He enslaved her. Ladybug, fly away home. Your house in on fire, and your children are gone. All except for one, and that's little Anne. For she crept under the frying pan. Like, wow! Oh, my darling Clementine. You are lost for me forever. Dreadful, sorry Clementine. Drove she ducklings to the water every morning just at night, hit her foot against the splinter, fell into the foaming brine. Ruby lips above the water, blowing bubbles soft and fine. But alas, I was no swimmer, neither was my Clementine. In a churchyard near a canyon, where the myrtle down entwine, there goes rosies and some posies, fertilized by Clementine. She's dead. She's pushing up flowers, y'all.
Whoa, you may have just discovered something, Kevin.
That's what I'm doing. This is crazy. Why are they so? Do they have to be evil?
It's part of the programming, man.
Wow, that's deep. Listen, family, I'm not gonna keep y'all. Of course, just challenge y'all for a little bit, but it's time for us to to wrap it up for the night.
make sure y'all come back next week, guys. We're gonna get into it again. But of course, if you guys are wanting to join us on the trip in March, make sure you join Kevin Wesley Group, and I'll be giving you guys the details tomorrow with either a live or a pre-recording. But we will get the information to you guys so you guys know exactly how you can do this. And I cannot wait to see you guys. I love you guys. Thank you guys for dialoguing with me. I love when you guys comment and interact with me. It helps me and Ricky keep going. It's very hard to continue a frame of thought and just keep talking and you guys aren't commenting because we feed off of y'all too. So I don't want y'all to come and listen thinking that we're just gonna be here to give y'all all the talk. We want to learn from y'all too. So please comment, stay active with us. If we say something that sparks you to thought, continue to post, continue to comment because we're gonna see that comment and hopefully it'll spark us to even more thought and it turns into a conversation rather than just you guys listening to a broadcast, right? We want this to be organic. A lot of times, I never study. I never take time and study what I'm going to say to you guys because I want it to be organic, just so you guys know. Unless, of course, I was teaching about animascaria mushrooms and, astrotheology and things like that. Those things I want to make sure I'm saying things right because that's not my information. That is historical information that I want to make sure is presented in the way it should be presented. But when we're just having these type of thought talks, which is what I prefer, I want us all to be involved so we can really build and move forward, guys, because that's what's going to keep us strong. Information is great, but what do you do after that? We're trying to develop our mental processes, develop our own philosophies. And the only way you can know that your philosophy is healthy is to say it out loud. So sometimes just, work with us, talk with us, even if you feel like it doesn't sound intelligent or whatever, work with us. And so I hope you guys really enjoyed it. A lot of you guys were laughing and saying that it was funny. I love to make y'all laugh. That's why y'all got to come out and see me in person because I'm really silly. Like, we're going to have some fun regardless. So just make sure y'all do that. And Ricky, is there anything you want to say before we get off?
Yes, sir. Real quick, man, this was a great show. Very funny. Hello and good night to everyone that I didn't get a chance to address on YouTube and also Facebook. Ladies, I just want to let you know you are beautiful and I love all of you, no matter what shape and size you come in. I'm more concerned about what's in your mind. I'm always going to be more attracted to your mind than your body. So just know that. We will be in Vegas March 2019. The only guys that we need is each other, and the only guy that I will ever need is you. And I'm going to let Kevin take us up out of here.
Ricky is going to go there and he going to find him somebody. Y'all hear how smooth Ricky's voice got right there? He turned into Shondell. Ricky. Ricky. Rick turned into. I've never heard your delivery be that crisp. Brother said, "Be the only gods we need is each other, and the only God you need is yourself. Well, you need me. You understand that? I don't care what you look like. Long nails, long hair, short hair, baby. I just want to get to know in your mind. You understand? I'm Ricky. Pretty Ricky is what they call me. Holler." Oh my God. Listen, if y'all looking for love in all the wrong places, because listen, you ain't gonna find it in the clubs. The likelihood of you meeting somebody who think like you is slim to none in your general area. So get out of there. Come out and meet us. Come have some fun, man. Make some friends. Meet some acquaintance, meet some business partners. Let's do it. Let's have some good time. Let's be evolution and be the change that we want to see. We can only do that if we linking up and doing that, family. Let's be active. I think that if we start getting out and actually being active, getting off of our couches, getting off from in front of these screens, then the more we'll start doing in the community. So let's get involved, family. Y'all, of course, y'all know my slogan is be evolution, be the change that you want to see, and no candle loses its flame from lighting another. And my last thing I want to say is please come join my Instagram. I want to see my Instagram grow. It's I am Kevin Wesley. Come join me on Instagram, family, where I post daily thoughts that enlighten the mentally handicapped. I actually don't. I post not as much there as I do on other pages, but I wanted to say that just so y'all come join. Support me because you love me. Okay, come and add me on Instagram, where I actually do post on it the same way though, but not as often as I like just now led on. But neither way, the show is going on too long because I'm rambling now, and I don't like to do that. But of course, be the evolution, guys. Be the change that you want to see, and no candle loses its flame rather, by lighting another. And so that being said, guys, just tune in to us next week. Join Kevin Wesley group if you want to go to Vegas. Join me on Kevin Wesley on I am Kevin Wesley on Instagram, Kevin Wesley on Facebook, Kevin Wesley Be the Evolution on Facebook. If you guys are looking to see more about what I'm into, a lot of you guys message me and y'all still ask me why I walked away from religion. I take that as you guys don't know where my actual information is. I have tons of videos on YouTube, Facebook, and things like that, so you guys can actually tune into that information and you can listen to a few of my videos, and that way you can have a little bit more of a clear understanding as to what I believe and how I think before we actually have that conversation. Because I'd rather you be familiar with me before we converse, because I would hate to have to repeat myself on all that. So just understand that too, guys. I do take my time and give it to people who want to have conversations via donation. You just go to betheevolution.com, of course, for your gear. It's Christmas time, guys, coming up. I got Be The Evolution kids clothes. Please go get some kids clothes. Do whatever you can to support the movement. And if you want to, have a conversation where you want to donate for some time for me to actually dialogue with you guys on the phone, go to betheevolution.com and you can do that, okay? Or you can simply just send me a message and we can set that up, all right? That being said, I have nothing else to say. I'll leave it alone until next time. And I love you guys. Ricky, you good?